Today we started with the top 4 players and we have brought it down to the 2 finalists. It's going to be RDU versus Zalae. We have them right here with us. Now, we were talking before we actually jumped in and you said you feel like you're playing a lot better today, but do you think that the fact that you just had to play all the way through that lower bracket, that may fatigue you a little bit as you're actually going into this match?
No, the adrenaline and the caffeine compensates for that. I'm super pumped now and let's get him.
On the other side of things, you've had a nice little break since you did qualify from the upper portion today. Do you think that's going to play to your advantage at all?
No, I think it's going to come down to who plays better, who has the better decks, that kind of thing.
Well, I think all of the pros are pretty much saying you have the better decks. Do you still think that's true?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that means we're going to have to see who actually plays better. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to get straight into the finals right now. Casters, take it away.
Welcome back. It has been a very long day. 10 hours already.
10 hours already.
10 hours for 5 matches. And now the 6th one. The final, grand final between RDU and Zalae, G2 versus Luminosity, and EU versus NA.
Yeah, EU versus NA. There were 2 North American players at the start of this entire tournament out of, I think, 32 total players between the EU/NA and the China divisions. And one of the only 2 North American players made it all the way to the finals. So,
Kudos to him.
yeah, I mean, NA strongest region, obviously.
For sure, for sure. How many world champions do you have?
1.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you guys got us beat there a little bit, but that might change after this year.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Shanghai is the next spot. We'll see how will that go. But now we have to focus on Zalae and RDU here in Kiev during the 3rd season of StarLadder. And just to show this upper bracket how it went, RDU actually lost the first game, had to win 3 games so far just to get back to this point.
Yeah, so Zalae had an easier road about it. He was able to just kind of win 2 in a row, qualify himself directly into the finals that way. Everyone's been saying he's the guy to watch for this tournament. He has the lineup that can do it. Meanwhile, RDU had to take the road through the losers bracket. No one has thought RDU's lineup had a chance. Everyone said every matchup he's super unfavored. There's no way he's going to make it to the finals. Well, he's in the finals.
He is here, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny because every single time he's playing a game, playing a match, people are saying, yeah, his lineup sucks against that guy.
Right, yeah.
His lineup sucks against this guy. And his lineup sucks against Zalae as well.
He's been able to figure it out against everyone else. Now, the real test, can he figure it out against Zalae where his lineup is actually even more unfavored than it has been in the other games?
You think so?
I think so, yeah. It's really tough. RDU has a very anti-aggro lineup. A lot of his tech choices are geared towards punishing aggressive decks. Double Volcanic Potion in his Mage, for example. None of Zalae's decks are aggressive. And all of Zalae's techs are towards beating control decks that are targeting aggro.
Black Knight.
Yeah.
Vine Cleaver.
Right.
Onyxia.
Yeah,
Although Vine Cleaver and Onyxia fall into the Volcanic Potion line, kind of.
I guess, kind of, but there's still the big minions and just the value density of the decks.
Yes, correct.
Outvaluing RDU's decks. And then he also has, Burgly Bully and Archmage Antonidas in his Mage for just that unlimited damage source. And then just the archetypes of his deck. Jade Druid is really tough for RDU's lineup to beat. None of his decks can really do the job. They can't go fast enough. Quest Rogue as well. Like, the Mage is RDU's only deck that can kind of beat it. The rest of his decks are all pretty much auto-lose against Quest Rogue.
It's kind of weird to actually say which ban will RDU pick. He would like to ban 2 decks, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Rogue and Jade Druid.
Yeah, and he can only pick one, so it's a tough decision for him. I'm going to pick the one I think that allows him to get whatever he feels his weakest deck out more often. Okay. So, I don't know, what has been his least performing deck throughout the tournament?
Well, we have seen him playing the Rogue twice.
Right, the Miracle Rogue has been struggling a little bit for him.
Yeah.
This is one of the lineups where the Rogue's probably going to get banned, though, because
it's good against
it's good against the
lineup.
control lineups,
Yeah.
right? So I don't anticipate the Rogue being too much of a problem for RDU, but the control Paladin or the N'Zoth Paladin, I think, could have a lot of struggle. It's
But it's something that we have seen for both RDU and PF. Right, both actually had also very different opinion about how to play the matchups. Against an
Right.
example, Shamans, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't turn quite well for them. So maybe in this situation, RDU will have to focus on that Paladin just winning, changing his way of playing.
Sure. Trying to figure out what's the best way to do it. How is he able to
Yep.
get? Usually, it all revolves around getting big swings off Sunkeeper Tarim, trying to figure out some way where you can go aggressive with your
Yeah,
not normally
exactly.
too aggressive of a deck. But the Paladin's going to be tough. We just saw the last series that Zalae played. He was able to get 3 wins against the Paladin from PF. So RDU has a very similar Paladin. He has the N'Zoth instead of the second Primordial Drake, and he also has an Infested Torrent in there over something. But they're very similar in the amount of threats in the decks. So that could be a deck that really struggles in this series, and he needs to figure out ways to kind of cheese out wins with these problem decks, set himself up in positions where he can get lucky and hammer him home.
And also Shaman from Zalae actually runs 2 Chieftains.
Yeah, so it's a really heavy Jade Shaman. All of Zalae's decks, if you think it could get greedier, then you're wrong. It really can't get too much greedier.
And this, right?
So the
Only a control Shaman with Reincarnate and Ancestral Spirits from Wild tops that.
Pretty much. So the Druid from Zalae is banned. We will not be seeing his Jade Druid, so his Quest Rogue is left up. Zalae's Quest Rogue does have some anti-aggro tech, so that makes sense. And this opens up RDU's Mage to be able to get through easier. Now, Zalae banned
Shaman.
the Shaman from RDU. RDU is playing the double Bloodlust, double Evolve Shaman. So
And that's actually quite decent against Rogue.
it's pretty good against Rogue, but
Now it's get banned. Now it
But
got banned.
the Shaman's not good against the Shaman's not good against Rogue. The Shaman's better against the Druid, I'd say. So I'd say RDU won the mind games on the ban here. So RDU is either going to
So,
ban
okay.
Quest Rogue or Druid. Zalae predicted that RDU was going to ban the Quest Rogue, so he decided to ban the Shaman instead of trying to ban the Rogue, and got a little punished for that ban.
Well, still, it's a minuscule change.
I mean, every little factor counts for sure. I'd say that there was a misread there. Zalae was expecting the trend to continue where his Quest Rogue gets banned against these control lineups, and that didn't happen. And so RDU, expecting the ban from Zalae, adjusted appropriately. It makes the lineups a little bit better for him, but he's still at a disadvantage for sure. But, you know, always winning a ban phase, fantastic.
Keeps your hopes up, right?
Oh, for sure. You always feel great about that. It's just a little bit of positivity going into the first match. And we have the Jade Shaman, so Jade double Spirit Echo Shaman for Zalae, up against the Sai Gunther Mage for RDU.
Oh, actually, I think someone can't remember who was that, but someone tweeted at me that the Günther name comes from the actual first player to play the deck.
Okay. And his name was Gunther.
I assume he's Austrian or German. But we're starting the grand final, best of 7. Just to remind you guys, all of games today, actually the games for the entire 3 days tournament, were best of 7. Quite different from what you usually see, especially in such a small tournament with only 8 players in, weird decks appearing. So it's pretty cool to watch that. And Cabal Career, one of those choices that RDU did put in his deck, and you usually don't see that.
It's been more commonly seen as an Acolyte of Pain lately. People like having the Acolyte so they can transition faster to the burn plan, whereas Cabal Courier gives you the ability to find more AoEs and more removal options rather than just cycling through your own deck, which would help him more if he was trying to fend things off. But in this matchup, the way the Mage wins is assembling enough burn to kill its opponent. So you really would prefer an Acolyte so you could go through your deck faster, but being able to pick up an Arcane Intellect, now that's just sick. That's
true.
even better.
Although, if you would actually pick up a minion on curve, like a 4-mana drop,
Sure, just to pressure him.
Yeah.
That's not bad either. He's going to be able to get in a lot of early chip damage with how fast his start is going. And he's got some of the burn assembled already, so not a bad hand for RDU. Meanwhile, Zalae's focus needs to be, you know, just accelerating his Jades as quickly as possible and not giving the Mage the time to connect all the burn. Because although the Shaman has a lot of healing in it, and it has the Echoes to try and gain additional healing, it cannot keep up with the amount of burn in the Mage deck. So we've seen it time and time again. Every time the Shaman tries to extend the game long, it always ends up getting burned out in the end. So Zalae needs to prioritize on rushing RDU down.
and RDU knows that, so he wants to finish the game as soon as possible. And well, his hand is not terrible, although having 3 secrets without any valets yet.
It's
Kind
not
of.
great. You do not want the secrets. The second Arcanologist in his hand is not even going to be drawing a card. These secrets are going to be very dead in his hand for a long time. So not a lot of action going on for RDU. Looking to try and find something to help it out. On the other side of things, Zalae, he doesn't want to use this coin here because of all the giant 7-drops in his hand that he'd prefer to coin out. So I imagine we'll see him just go with the Hot Spring Guardian. It feels a little bad using heal this early on.
Well, does it? I mean,
You'd prefer to save as much as you can for when Alexstrasza happens, but I think you need the pressure of the 2-4 out there, so I understand why he's playing it.
this opens a possibility of just playing the secret distant with Arcanologist. The problem is you can't really play counterspell until your opponent actually uses the coin.
Right.
And there's still, Shaman has so many weak spells in this matchup that can be just played to break the counterspell. Like, Devil doesn't really do much in this matchup.
Yeah, that's true. And Zalae there, you see him taking a quick note. He saw the Arcanologist draw 0 cards, so he knows 2 of the cards in RDU's hand are secrets. That's important information that he was able to gain there.
Currently, that leaves him 5 cards that are interacting with his board. The second one has to be an ice block, and you know it's counterspell deferred. So every single piece of information given out to Zalae, if someone just tuning in, players do know the exact deck list of their opponent,
Right.
which makes the dynamic of the entire match different than from what we usually see.
Yeah, you can kind of play around things a little more accurately because you know what's there, and you gain more information throughout the course of the game. So going with the Jade Spirit, trying to ramp his Jades up, allows him to coin the Chieftain next turn, which will be testing the secret that's currently up there to see if it's counterspell. And also just getting the Chieftain out. The max pressure you could do. It's a 7 mana 8/8, not bad.
RDU needs to look for Firelance Portals and Flame Strikes, basically. Maybe multiple Volcanic Potions will which act as a Flame Strike, so in this case he has that possibility, although they don't kill the Chieftain.
Yeah, you could start doing some of the clearing now if you wanted with a Volcanic Potion, but I do like saving it until there's more on the board. There's not that much pressure coming at him right now, so you can afford to be pretty patient.
I like the ping. That is actually telegraphing one of the Volcanic Potions, but no way Zalae would just expect another one in a package, so he can still go for the Chieftain, especially that he has a fantastic follow-up of another one.
Right, it's just so much stats that he's able to drop. He can drop a 7 mana 8/8 this turn, and then a 7 mana 9/9 next turn, both ramping his Jades further. If he picks up another Jade card after that, he can just continue the snowball pressure.
Yep.
So he's thinking about now, what if it is counterspell and I try and play this coin? What's my backup plan? What do I do then? Or maybe he's thinking, maybe I don't play it. Maybe I should hold it back around the AoE, but I see no reason to. I think you want to be as aggressive
At
as
some point you
possible.
will meet the AoE.
Right.
And the only reason to hold back is to play 4 Spirit Echo, which you don't really have in hand yet.
Yeah, so this is a 1/4 instead of an 8/8 going to be coming down this turn. He can play alongside it another small minion, but that plays into AoE and doesn't put nearly as much pressure as the other play, so I'm not really a fan of what's going on here. I guess he really wants to save this coin to deactivate Counterspell, but with 2 Devolves in hand, you have tools that are able to do it, so I don't really understand. It's just a lot less pressure that's he's playing around AoE, but if you play around AoE the entire game, eventually the Mage draws Alexstrasza and kills you.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
And we didn't anticipate that this might actually happen this game because the Alexstrasza wasn't drawn, but now that is actually an open door for RDU.
right. So
Ping into into the defender also signals that the plan is to ping it again next turn. That means there are no other AoEs. That actually might just say to Zalae, there's either no AoE in hand, or there is AoE and an Alexstrasza in hand.
right. Jade Chieftain coming out now. He was able to save the coin this way, able to play around AoE a little bit, so Zalae's getting more value out of his cards, but a lot less damage in from his cards, so a lot less tempo. As long as he's able to put enough pressure on, though, to be able to make it awkward for RDU to play Alexstrasza on 9, he's fine. But if it's a smooth sailing Alexstrasza for RDU on 9, then this is going to be a problem for Zalae.
Yeah, and the Firelance Portal actually delivers both in the department of just protecting your Alexstrasza. It puts a threat on the board that Zalae needs to deal with as soon as possible, and it decreases the amount of threats from Zalae's side. So then the Alexstrasza has an open way of just being slammed on the board, deal the 12 damage that is currently dealing to the face of the Shaman, and enable the burn plan. And with Fireball, Frostbolt, that's in theory lethal. And you have seen already one Hearthstone Garden being played. There's only one, two Water Speakers and an additional Hearthstone Garden in the deck. So there are chances that at least one of those is in the hand already. But still, the Pyroblast.
Yeah, the Pyroblast
mitigating
adds
that.
a lot of damage. If you count the damage in RDU's hand, he has 25, and there is only 15 max points of heal in the deck for Zalae. So after the Alex comes down, Zalae just won't have the time to answer the Alex, do all of that healing, and try and set up the Spirit Echoes, even if he has the cards. So he needs to really figure out how he's setting up a board to help him against this Alexstrasza. He doesn't have enough pressure to really prevent Alex from being able to come down.
And the reason why he doesn't have that is because he saved the coin.
Right, it's because he's like playing around a lot of AoE, trying to take the game a bit slower and get more value out of his cards. So I think Alex comes down every time here for RDU. You have 15 points of burn, so you force your opponent to have to heal, otherwise they die.
Even having the value trade with the 5-1, it's pretty neat trick because that
Zalae has every healing card in his deck in his hand.
but it's still only 15 and no Spirit Echo.
Yeah, no Spirit Echo yet, so he still needs to find that if he's able to get a heal out of this. And no Hex for this Alexstrasza either. So that's a problem he still kind of has to deal with because the board he can't trade down evenly right now.
It's 9, 17, 18 points of HP on board. If he trades with one minion, the board is clear with the Volcano, which can be followed up by a Water Speaker. That sets him up at 21. He will be overloaded by 3 on 10. With the coin, he's able to play... Actually, he doesn't need to even use the coin because a second Water Speaker and the Hearthstone Garden can be a follow-up if like a massive turn of burn will come. But what he needs really to do...
Plays around the counterspell by utilizing the coin here. And he's going to be setting up the Volcano.
So I guess this is the turn when you just commit to Pyroblast.
Oh, for sure. There's only 3 pressure on the board. It seems like a very clear Pyroblast this turn.
RDU knows that immediately. Without thinking, goes for the Pyroblast. Has a lethal setup with 2 fireballs. And
Right.
now this is a really awkward turn for Zalae. If he commits to double heals, and RDU has a way of dealing with those minions.
Then you can't get the Spirit Echo on them, and then you're just
Exactly.
under threat of death for pretty much the rest of the game.
So maybe using just one Water Speaker
Well, even
would
if
be enough.
Even if you hold one back for the Spirit Echo, how do you kill your own minion once you Spirit Echo it? Becomes the
Oh,
trick.
yeah, right. That's
Yeah,
also very
it
important.
gets very difficult to actually activate that healing because the Mage is not going to be playing minions for you to trade into. All RDU is going to be doing is just launch and burn at your face for the rest of the game.
Well, awkward position for Zalae. Those devolves, no value. So 2 clunky cards in his hand. The coin was used without any advantage as well.
Yeah. If he can get the Manatite out there and it draws Spirit Echo and Volcano, he could maybe Spirit Echo then Volcano, but still he can't heal until the turn after.
Malice and Portal.
That's the damage RDU needs, so now he can set
Yep.
up lethal for the following turn. He has no threat of his secret being popped, and he has the ability to replay a secret if it does. So he can launch 15 points of damage at Zalae this turn if you want. So he has 18 points of damage, and Zalae has 3 healing left in his deck. So with 2 pings, 18 goes up to 20. So if he goes Fireball, Frostbolt, Ping, Face, he should have 100% lethal on the following turn.
Oh,
Right.
he even goes against Spirit Echo, in this case, with the counterspell.
Okay. He's got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, this sets up the lethal next turn through 3 points of healing. He has enough mana to do everything, and he stops the Spirit Echo with Counterspell, locking Zalae out from being able to Spirit Echo and then kill his own minions.
Pretty nicely played with that counterspell.
Yeah, it's just This is what happens if you don't pressure the mage. The plan of outvaluing them and trying to out-resource the mage, you just really can't do it as the shaman. If you try and hold back resources and play around their AoE, and you don't force their hand, and you give them the time, and they land that Alexstrasza, you're just done.
And that's a common rule in a lot of matchups that we have seen in this tournament. When the control player is just, maybe not even control player, but the mid-range deck is not aggressive enough against control decks, like an example, Jade Druid.
Against, Jade Druid, against Quest Rogue, against Gunther Mage, and against Taunt Warrior.
And against Spirit Echo Shaman as well, when you're like an example Paladin.
Sure, if you're a Paladin, you got to close out the game before they get to the ultimate end game. So, yeah, it's the Shaman deck just too slow, not enough healing. Mage is such a ridiculous class with how much burn it has, how much it's able to just set up these lethals over the top with Alexstrasza.
All enabled by Alexstrasza, basically.
Yeah, it's a crazy card. Well, Alexstrasza in conjunction with Pyroblast. The Pyroblast being able to connect for 10 kind of negates all of the healing you could possibly run. Unless you're playing, like, Paladin or Priest. There's just not enough good healing cards to outlast that much burn, man.
Or a old school control warrior, right?
Sure, that could maybe do it.
You can play that in tournaments.
Like Ironhide and stuff like that in there, something crazy. But yeah, these the mage, too much burn for the shaman to handle. That's generally how that matchup has been going over the entire course of the tournament. We have had one upset in that matchup. One player was able to win with Jade Shaman versus the Gunther Mage. But other than that, every single time the Mage has been able to beat the Shaman. So that's kind of the expected result of that matchup. So I imagine Zalae's not too flustered with how that happened because, yeah, that's a tough one to win. It's very consistently fallen in favor of the Mage. And Zalae's going to be queuing up now with his Gunther Mage with a few greedy techs up against the Rogue from RDU. Now this matchup generally falls in favor of the Mage because Rogue lacks healing in any form. So it needs to get hallucination, to get like counter spells or ice block to be able to something to be able to outlast the damage of the mage and steal healing from the mage's class. But the mage isn't the best healing class either, so it becomes a bit tricky.
But it can become a race because Miracle Rogue is so explosive when it comes to damage, right? Especially with the Arcane Giants. If you just queue a really long line of spells, you can drop the Arcane Giants and then just go for a really high burst damage. The only thing that can stop you is the Ice Block. But as you said, the explosive opening from the Mage can be something that tips
it's game-breaking when you can get in a bunch of chip damage with a Mana Worm, because that means you don't really have to respect you don't have to wait till Alexstrasza. You can start launching burn before then. If you're able to get in like 10 damage in the early stages.
Basically, that's Alexstrasza.
Yeah, that's Alexstrasza basically. So you just start launching fireballs and Firelands portals to the face, and you'll close out the game. And you very consistently get the ice blocks now because of the Arcanologist. So you almost always have double ice blocks, so you just have the time to extend to the game and launch burn at the face.
Although, RDU finally with a good response without starting patches in the hand. So he's able to kill the Mana Worm on 10-1 without taking a single point of damage, which is crucial in the long term in this matchup, as you have explained in detail.
Yeah, just shutting that down.
Razzle Petal Lasher, another kind of needed card in this matchup as well. You want to have some form of early board control. You're able to kill those nasty Arcanologists, damage the Acolytes of Pain, maybe the Mana Worms if you didn't have an answer to them on turn 1. So a really needed addition to the Miracle Rogues. And fuels cards like Gadget and Edwin. Edwin with coin actually is kind of sweet, right? Turn
it is pretty
Lasher.
sweet. If RDU picks up Edwin, he's going to have a fun game ahead of him.
Oh, he can go crazy. Okay, I'm going to say it right now. That hallucination gives a secret, which current Tor Mage plays for 0.
Okay. It's fairly likely there are many Mage secrets.
Yeah, and they're not that bad, actually.
A lot of them are pretty good against Mage in particular, which is kind of funny.
So, Mana Bind, pretty sweet.
Not bad. You get a 0 mana spell for Gadget.
An example, a Glyph that gives you a Rogue card.
That would be crazy. That would be a very powerful Gadget turn. But Zalae here in the tank, trying to figure out if he wants to Glyph, Ping, Acolyte.
I like the Acolyte, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the Acolyte is the clear play. The question, I guess, maybe is then, do you want to trade with the 2-3 or go face?
Oh, completely forgot that RDU is actually running Mimic Pods. I mean, Mimic Pod,
Yeah.
actually, one of. It's an interesting card in so many matchups because it changes the dynamic as well. There's the Mirror Entity. Okay.
He can get it out for the sweet low cost of 0 mana alongside his Guarantor Mage.
And you have seen Manavim, you have seen Arcanologist, you have seen Acolyte of Pain. What are the
Okay.
other minions?
But the other minions are like Medivh, Alexstrasza, Archmage Antonidas, Burgly Bully, Pyros.
Not bad.
I think that's
right?
about it. Otherwise, you know, the other copies of the minions you mentioned earlier.
That's actually not that bad. I would think about playing the Mirror Entity in this situation next turn, especially after turn 4, when the opponent still might develop smaller minions if he has it, if he has those in his hand. Especially when there's, you know, an empty board. First, what you want to do is develop minions in this case.
Oh, yeah. If Zalae had any minions that he could develop, he would be developing them here. But that is not the case. He has the choice now between either Glyph to try and find something to do for this turn, like an Arcane Intellect would be ideal, or he has set up the Ice Block.
Setting up the Ice Block, not really needed right now. He's not
Yeah.
facing any pressure. Having additional card draw, as you said, would be way more beneficial. Other things that he can get from the Glyph, maybe a secret other than Ice
Yeah,
Block, right?
something he could set up that maybe helps him. So,
Okay.
But he wants to get this Ice Block up, I guess, in case he draws Medivh's Valet. It'll be active in the future. It also makes RDU have to fear Counterspell a little bit. There's one Counterspell in Zalae's deck, so...
Well, he will check for the counterspell
Right.
with a Razor Petal, yeah.
Yep. So the secret here from Zalae gets that Razor Petal out of RDU's hand. Mirror Entity coming down now with the Guarantor Mage. 6/6 synergy.
2 Glyphs. And now Zalae has to think, wait, it might be a counterspell.
It might be. It could be anything. It's a secret.
Those are the unknown things about this tournament. Secrets. And Discover cards.
Yeah, the Discover cards, trying to figure those out. He sees now that it's not Mana Bind, it's not Counterspell.
Well, actually, he has to pick first, right? Then he
Okay.
gets to know.
Well, now he figured it out.
Alright, might be Spellbender. Nope. So that leaves him with Ice Block, Ice Barrier, Mirror Entity. Anything else? I don't think so.
Vaporize?
Oh, Vaporize, right.
Yeah. He knows it's not Spellbender since he used the Frostbolt. One of the interesting things that he could kind of shape with these Discover pickups, looking at his hand, he has a lot of removal in it, and he has not been able to get in a lot of early chip damage. So one of the plans as Mage you can go for, and I think what he's going for with this pick of the second Meteor here, is the ability to remove all of Rogue's minions. Because Rogue does actually not have a lot of minions in it. So sometimes you can play the game out in such a way that you just kill every minion Rogue plays, and as long as you have the answers for the 2 Arcane Giants, they just run out of stuff and die. So with double Meteor in his hand, I imagine that's going to be the strategy Zalae is going for.
Yep, that might actually happen. Just an interesting line. Not often you see that. And that Mimic Pod, it's actually not that beneficial, right? You don't need 3 auctioneers.
It's pretty good to get an extra auctioneer because then you can kind of play them a little bit more YOLO. You can just throw it out there and you don't care if you get too many cards off of it. As well as the fact that it's just another minion was huge. Since Zalae is kind of transitioning into this game plan where he wants to kill all minions RDU plays, when you get an extra one for free, it's not too bad.
Yeah. Also, there's a hypothetical, hilarious scenario when RDU plays his auctioneer alongside an Antonidas. He has Mirror Entity up.
Oh, yes, Mirror Entity. Yeah. The Antonidas could come down and you could start launching some fireballs with Gadget to cycle with them.
Okay. That is a fantastic pickup right here.
Yeah.
When you have 3 spells for 0 mana and an auctioneer, you're almost guaranteed to get a resurrect on that.
It's a very annoying minion for Zalae to deal with. He has no polymorph to finish it off right now, so it will be
And
coming
he has
back.
no chance of getting the polymorph,
Yeah.
right? He used 2 glyphs and...
Well, he runs a polymorph.
Oh, he runs it. Okay.
He runs a polymorph, so if he's able to find a polymorph, he can clean it up. But until then, it's going to be a thorn in his side. And he has like a hand with the double Meteor Flame Strike where he wants to be kind of clearing. So this Archmage Antonidas, maybe he can find some way to get fireballs. With both glyphs used, it's going to be kind of difficult.
Oh, look at that.
All right, that fits his game plan now. Now he can go back to the same strategy, let's clear every minion.
And he
Polymorph
also
that
picked up
Shaman.
a second mana of them that plays into the mirror entity
Right.
perfectly.
So he can break through the mirror entity a little bit later on. But yeah, so if you just look at the ways Zalae's cards line up, he's got 2 different meteors. Each meteor he's hoping to try and line up with one of the arcane giants, so he doesn't need polymorph for the arcane giant. Now the threats remaining from RDU, if you kind of factor those ones out, he's got 2 Vile Spines, and now you see Zalae marking down. He knows that there's 3 gadgets, and that's it. That's all he's basically got to beat. And then I guess SI7s and 1 questing adventure, I believe, is in RDU's deck, and then Edwin Van Cleef.
Hurricane Giant is... My god!
That's a good card.
Do you use the prep? Or you keep it for the second gadget?
If you need to use the prep on the second part of the glyph, you go for it. But right now, I think it's okay.
Oh.
Oh, my.
Oh, you can get a Razzle Petal Volley. That will be the first time I actually see this card being played.
Another preparation sounds pretty good.
Well, it
He could
does, but...
He could cycle into both giants this turn, potentially. Oh, he's going to go with the volley, though. Yeah. Okay, you get more spells to cycle with. He's got another Mimic Pod.
And he goes for it, right? Now? No, wait. Does
He
he?
may overdraw.
Exactly.
Yeah, what is his hand hit? Yeah, he can't go with prep Mimic Pod. He's going to just prep Razor Petal to squeeze out the Arcane Giant right now. Wants to get that out as soon as possible. Should go on the far right for Meteor positioning.
Here we go.
Good. It looked like it was going left for a minute there.
Yeah, it's a bug that we have for like fast 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. Something's going on with that. But correct Meteor positioning. Still, though, Zalae can clean up this board quite nicely. The sheep lives.
He still needs to play around that secret, though.
He's already tested for everything except Ice Block, Ice Barrier, Vaporize.
Yeah.
So he has no...
Mirror Entity.
Or in Mirror Entity, yeah, of course. Which is what it actually is. So he's definitely weary about the Mirror Entity, but he should be in a fine position to defuse it. He could potentially just...
Do it right now, right?
Yeah, he could go for it, like Mana Worm Flame Strike. He has to kill this gadget. Alright, maybe he doesn't have to kill the gadget. The
He
interesting
knows there's
thing,
a second one, right?
right, he knows there's a second one already in RDU's hand, so how important is it really to kill the gadget?
I'm interested in this play because
It
that
probably
means he
is pretty
fireballs-
important still. Making your opponent have to spend 6 mana to draw cards is good. So I like clearing it up.
Because you have 3, 6, 9 cards in hand. If you go for Gadget, Prep, Mimic Pod, would probably overdraw.
Oh
as well.
my.
Oh my god.
This is terrible for Zalae and amazing for RDU. He is...
That's probably the best
Oh,
possible
yeah,
outcome.
that is by far the best possible outcome from your Meteor there. I mean, from your Mimic Pod there. Especially since Zalae's focusing on a removal game plan, because that's the hand he was dealt. He didn't get the offensive minions. No chip damage was able to get through.
And now he's just staring at
Oh,
those. Oh, okay.
Now he's got a chance.
But he still doesn't know what kind of secret it is. If it's Ice Block.
Well, yeah, if it's Ice Block, this doesn't work. But 3 out of 4 times, it's not Ice Block. It's either Ice Block, Barrier, Vaporize, Entity. So if I'm in Zalae's position right now, if he Meteors, he's going to be taking 9, 10 damage because the dagger's coming in. Can you feasibly exhaust all of the threats from RDU? Or will RDU just eventually overwhelm you? You don't have an answer to the second giant.
But you're lacking burn as well.
Well, you got 2 Fireball, or you got 1 Fireball in your deck. You could go Alex Straza into top deck the Fireball, reapply Ice Block, Fireball, Pyroblast it. So there's
That's
an out
like-
to win.
Yes.
That's a direction to win the game. The other play is to continue on this let's kill all their minions plan, even though they got an extra free giant. And
And you can't really sustain that.
I don't know if you can. He's going to continue on with it.
Now he knows it was Mirror Entity, so that Alex Strazo had actually...
Right. He sets up this Meteor beautifully here. Able to take care of the Mirror Entity Mana Worm. There's only a giant on the field. 2 Vile Spine Slayers, 2 gadgets. And that's about it left in RDU's deck as far as minions are concerned. So it's still possible to exhaust all the minions.
Now RDU has to really value his Archon Giant. Because that guy is almost unkillable for the Mage right now, with the Fireball being already used, Frostball being already used, 2 Meteors being used, 2 Glyphs being used as well. So he has to just remove that mana Worm and go face with the Giant.
Yeah. Starts with the Fan of Knives to try and do it. His deck is very thin at the moment. If you look over there, RDU's down to like 5, 6 cards left. Edwin Van Cleef coming out.
But
That guy's going to be big.
he takes 2 damage, which is fine.
Which is fine, because the Alex hasn't been played yet.
Yep.
Zalae's been using all of his burn clearing.
And that again will be like 12-12 if I'm not mistaken.
And 2 meteors have been used. The
There we go.
polymorph has been used. Both glyphs have been used.
Yes.
Is there a way?
There's no way of just dealing with it. It's too big for a Pyroblast, although...
Okay, now
has-
now Zalae has more top decks if he Alex's face, though. That's one of the things that his play bought him. He brought him more time to top deck the burn necessary to close this game out. Because he still has the option to Alex face and try and go for the burn plan.
Yes, that is correct. And I feel like this is the only way he can win the game.
Oh,
anymore.
from this point, this is the only way. So I like his line. He extended the game an extra turn without committing any of the necessary resources to then try and get an additional draw towards the Fireball or what he needs to close it out. So now he needs either Fireball or Frostbolt or second Medivh's Valet, and he can actually win this game.
One hallucination was being played by
Yeah.
RDU, right?
So he has 1 hallucination left, I believe.
And the deck's pretty thin.
And he has a Swashbuckler left, I think.
No, 2 were played.
Two were
First
played?
one was played turn 1 to kill the Man of Them with Patch's Backstab.
Okay.
And then the second one was played for
The glyph.
after the Gazetan being played.
Oh, yeah.
So it
Yeah,
was
he's
the
had
Gabe
3
Glyph.
mage cards. He's had the Kirin Mage, he's had the Mirror Entity, and the Glyph. So yeah, that makes sense. So he has just the 1 left. And this has to be Alex face. There's no other play here.
Here we go. RDU knows what's happening. He is sweating.
Yeah. So if he tries to cycle into...
He needs, first of all, he needs to set up a way of dealing lethal next turn in case he's entirely frozen.
Right. He needs to get the health total to a manageable point like that.
And it's really not cool to draw any more cards.
Yeah, he wants to stop doing that, that's for sure. Getting rid of his own gadget might be something he wants to do here.
Although, the
But-
hallucination...
Right, he wants to find the hallucination first. But if he finds the hallucination and plays it, he might take 1 point of fatigue damage, and that would spell disaster, because then you just die to 1 Frostbolt or 1 Medivh's Valet.
Yeah, well, what it can do is also use the Fan of Knives to get that hallucination this turn still.
Well, if you have only 1 card left in your deck, then when your opponent ice blocks, again, you know, another turn passes and then it comes back, and then you take the 1 point of fatigue. So you have to play around double ice block, causing you fatigue damage.
I agree.
Firelands Portal can seal the deal. So Zalae, you know, stalling with that Meteor for that 1 extra turn, able to find the top deck necessary because he took that line. Sets up the second ice block. This is the hallucination. This needs to be big for RDU.
This needs to be Ice Block, Frostbolt, Master Solia, and Steam
Nothing.
Surger. Nothing. So that means that Zalae is taking this second game.
That was really close.
Wow.
So
Even with the Mimic Paw
Yeah.
and Arcane Giants wasn't good enough to put enough pressure
He
for
was-
the double Ice Block.
Yeah, the double ice block is so crazy strong. Arcanologist being able to tutor out ice blocks to give you the ability to burn out people with Mage like this is so disgustingly powerful.
Yeah, and now think that we had Mad Scientist before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It used to be even crazier, but it's still just absolutely insane. Tutoring ice blocks is so nasty. It allows you to have these setups against decks with no healing.
It's pretty crazy. Well, that's about it. RDU's fate will be sealed with a huge blast to his face.
And that's going to even the series up 1-1. Both players mages taking a win.
But this one was actually way closer than we predicted from the beginning.
Right, usually it's a blowout, but the Mana Worm from early game from Zalae was answered very efficiently by RDU. He got some you know, favorable positions on the board and started getting way far ahead. And Zalae had to react super defensively the entire game, but managed to close it out just barely at the end, finding the Firelands Portal off the top.
Good decision making by Zalae.
But yeah, if he had went with the Alex the turn earlier, like I had suggested, he would have lost that game. Because he
Yep.
would have drawn Medivh's Valet and just been 1 damage off. So a good identification that he had the time. He could use the Meteor for an extra draw, and it didn't really change anything.
And it's true. But not easy to identify the amount of time that you have left.
Right. It can be tricky. So Both players left with a Paladin. Both players left with a Rogue.
But
Both the
different
Rogues and
rogues.
both the Paladins are different. And then RDU with the Taunt Warrior and Zalae with the Jade Control Shaman. So
And that Jade Shaman has a really good angle at all of those decks.
all of those decks, yeah, except maybe the Rogue. The Rogue can kind of get away with a win here against the Shaman pretty easily. Against the Paladin, it's okay, but not fantastic. And in the Rogue mirror, I'd say it's slightly favored. So the Rogue from RDU is looking fantastic. The issue comes in with RDU's Taunt Warrior is heavily targeted by Zalae's lineup. Taunt Warrior being one of, if not the lowest win rate deck in the tournament for all players because it's just the most targeted thing. And Zalae's lineup aggressively targets Taunt Warrior. And the N'Zoth Paladin right down there in some of the bottom win rate decks for the tournament because it's just heavily targeted by these anti-control lineups. So RDU still has both of his problem decks remaining. But this is a good opportunity to be able to get the Taunt Warrior out.
That is actually fantastic.
Yeah, he has the Dirty Rat already too, so he can kind of mess up Zalae's quest. I'd say this is one of the more favorable matchups for the Taunt Warrior, honestly, in the lineup. So you got to be happy if you're an RDU fan out there. This is the queue he wanted.
Although it doesn't really make it like favorable.
It's not favorable, but it's one of his more favorable matchups for sure with the Taunt Warrior. If you're queuing up your Taunt Warrior, you really don't want to hit the Paladin.
Yeah.
You really don't want to hit the Shaman. So hitting this matchup, at least you have a chance to win this one. Sometimes the quest goes slow. Sometimes you can Dirty Rat out an important minion and screw him up. And yeah, it's a more winnable matchup for Taunt Warrior than I think people give it credit for. Taunt Warrior has a lot of really great clear potential, and the Dirty Rats are amazing.
And we have seen so far, every single player that plays Taunt Warrior has Dirty Rats. Against Quest Rogue, they just play them on turn 2. Every single time. So it's key for the Rogue player to keep his hand as high value as possible, and that means Igneous Elementals. Because
Right.
nothing else matters when it comes
So,
to like...
if Zalae was hand tracking, he would see that RDU 3-kept, which could make you kind of fear a Dirty Rat. So Zalae could try and go for like Quest Coin Firefly or Firefly Coin Firefly, but I don't know. Getting a Firefly down without the quest is just silly. And using the coins so you can't coin Igneous seems also bad. So I imagine you don't really try and play around Dirty Rat here. You kind of predict it's there, but the expense to play around it is too much to be worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
So just quest and pass. But he's got 2 out of 3. This Dirty Rat really helps him, actually.
Yeah.
Which is funny. He goes for the quest. Now let's see if RDU is lucky enough to get that Firefly
Yeah.
out of Zalae's hand, because the difference between not getting it and getting it is so huge.
Right.
It's incredibly huge. Those 2 Igneous Elementals not only have to be played on turn 2 and turn 3, they need to die to actually produce the Flame Elementals. And then they have to be played. So it's a rocky road to that quest, while if he just gets out the Flame Elemental, not only that adds 1 Flame Elemental to complete the quest from the Firefly, but also just gives more damage, and 1 turn before, one turn earlier, it will get killed.
Yeah, it just saves Zalae 3 mana, so he doesn't have to play it. It's really fantastic.
So what RDU is thinking here is that what he can also do is use
He's not
Acolyte of
playing the
Pain
Dirty
on
Rat,
turn
okay.
3, so he guarantees an attack into a minion with
Okay.
the Acolyte of Pain into it.
Sure.
I like that as well.
And if your opponent has Igneous Elemental, a lot of the time they coin it out here.
And also, his opponent is getting more minions into his hand during that time.
Most of the decks, or most of the minions most of the cards in Quest Rogue are minions, so oftentimes you'll draw one. So holding back on the Dirty Rat, waiting for Zalae to coin Igneous Elemental, it's a really smart play.
Maybe he even will play another one the next turn, right? Makes sense.
He might, yeah. Now RDU does not want to kill this Igneous
Yeah, so
Elemental.
Talk Reaper is not really a good option.
No. But he wants to be drawing cards. He wants to be working towards brawls, Sleep with the Fishes, ways that he can interact with his opponent.
I feel like when I'm Zalae here, I'm probably gonna play the Igneous Elemental anyway, because that first card to the left in RDU's hand just might be the X.
It might be.
So there's no point to playing X until you see a minion actually here that you can kill.
Okay. I mean, I like playing the Igneous Elemental just because now you have your quest is on the field. It's fantastic. As soon as those guys die, you're going to be able to play 4 fire or flame elementals and complete the quest. That is a very fast quest completion.
And RDU is not happy about seeing those 2 elementals.
Right. So Dirty Rat can't even be used to disrupt the quest because either way, Zalae is going to be able to complete the quest on these flame elementals if he can find a way to get him killed.
Well, I'm not sure if I like that. Playing double Acolytes of Pain right now, when he could go for the Dirty Rat anyway.
Well, he just wants to make it harder for Zalae to kill off these flame elementals, try and slow down the progression
But
of
if
the quest.
he plays a minion next turn, they die anyway.
Right, he might not even play a minion next turn. He's just going to be armor passing. What the strength of the Taunt Warrior comes at like the 10 mana area, where he can start doing things like Primordial Drake Sleep with the Fishes, and his brawls are live, and he can actually interact with the quest. The quest is happening eventually. Now he's just trying to set up to a position where, how can I manage against it the best? So he wants to maximize his card draw and slow down the game as much as possible. So not letting these Igneous Elementals get popped is a huge priority for RDU.
Still, it doesn't really solve the problem with the deck if he goes to 10 mana, because that's the ideal scenario for him. He goes to 10 mana, goes for Primordial Drake, Sleep with the Fishes, which deals exactly 5, right?
Yeah, it clears the whole board, yeah.
Clears the board, yes. But Zalae has still charges in his hand, and he's just able to deal the lethal damage through his hand without any board control.
Sometimes, but you're not helping yourself. Killing the Igneuses faster. So he's got to wait until a time when he has better tools available or just a bigger board developed that he could develop all at once, so that when the Igneuses die, he's in a stronger position. So yeah, I'd like to see maybe just Armor Smith and Armor. Just, again, just making it awkward for the Igneuses to die.
And then you not attack into his Igneous.
Right, you just hit him in the face for 1 again with the Acolyte.
You still get to draw the cards at some point, but at the same time, having 2 1-attack minions guarantees you 1 more turn for Zalae to attack into those minions, takes the damage off your face, and also adds the health by playing Armor Smith. So it's the ideal scenario to what he needs to do in this
Yeah.
unlucky scenario here.
The other option is to just play nothing. If he doesn't play the Armor Smith, then he can continue trying to armor for a couple turns after this and completely deny the Igneuses from being utilized to activate the quest. But so that's kind of the decision here: is when does he want Zalae to be able to activate it? Does he want him to play a strong minion, then Zalae can activate it now? Does he want to play no minions, then Zalae can't ever really activate it on board? Or does he want to play like the Armor Smith, which allows Zalae to activate it on the next turn?
Well, he does want to overdraw.
Right, and you would also have to overdraw to try and never play a minion for Zalae to interact with.
Because if you would just pass the turn, then Zalae can actually just go for the dagger, attack 3 times the... No, that's impossible, never mind. You
Yeah,
would have to sacrifice patches, which is possible.
Okay.
Still 0 on the quest.
Yeah, well, he's been unable to develop minions into this because he's trying to prevent these Igneuses. Now Zalae, I imagine, takes out the Armor Smith with the Igneous Elementals and starts developing... He's going to develop one of the Flame Elementals out here, I imagine. Try and get towards completing the quest to make it a little bit easier once these Igneuses finally do die.
3 vanishes. Actually, this is not bad against against the quest warrior. All those wings are super expensive, and you can just get through the taunts with your 1 charger every single turn. You play
Every
vanish,
single turn, yeah.
go face.
Yeah, so if he can get like 2 or 3 chargers accumulated into his hand, which he'll be able to get the patches out of the deckhand, each of those vanishes is kind of like 10 damage. Because you just vanish and then play your South Sea deckhand plus charger, go face for 10, and do it again and again.
So he's not able to stop those Igneous Elementals from being popped. So now he can commit to better minions.
He has to be a little bit worried about Zalae completing the quest, because once these Igneuses pop, Zalae can then just play down the 3 Flame Elementals remaining and prep out the quest. So if there's a ton of minions on board, RDU could actually just die. So he has to be thinking about maybe trying to full clear the board here, stop that possibility, or clear at least as much as he can. Maybe a Ravaging Ghoul play to help him do so.
if he does that, he needs to kill the Firefly anyway. Maybe just start with the draw first then.
Brawl's a good tool to have going forward.
3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards in Zalae's hand.
Yeah, he's going to be overdrawn here a little bit.
My hand is too
Shadow
Shadow Step
That's
is a big card to overdraw.
The best card in the deck. Apart from the quest.
Yeah, pretty much.
So without the prep, he's not able to complete the quest this turn.
But seeing the ghoul effect used, it's a lot harder to activate Sleep with the Fishes, so these 1/2s are not so fragile. Primordial Drake cannot come down. RDU is only going on to 7 mana, so all of these little 1/2s sticking around all threaten to turn into 5/5s the following turn. So I imagine he could just extend all of them if he wanted to.
And freeze also with the Glacier Shard, actually,
Right.
to minimize the chance of them dying.
Exactly. I guess he has to worry a little bit about Brawl.
For RDU, the best draw would be Fury Warx to brawl and then kill the last minion remaining. If,
Wouldn't be
of
a bad
course,
one,
Zalae
yeah.
goes wide
Yeah.
this turn.
Looks like he's thinking about... He's really hesitant to go too wide. He's worried about all these AoE clears potentially happening. He's starting to go wider now, but
That's the completion of the quest.
he's not extending everything. He's holding back so that he can complete the quest next turn and develop 2 5/5s. Has his dagger ready so he can use Deckhand with the charge and pull the patches the following turn. So he's not going for a big extension into AoE. He's kind of being a little bit more passive with his completion.
RDU can kill 2 guys. Maybe draw... Well, actually, he can use the Sleep with the Fishes to kill 4.
He can kill the entire board using the Sleep of the Fishes if he wants, right?
Yeah.
So,
But then he loses... No, he actually keeps the Tar Creeper.
right, he keeps it alive at 1 health, so it kind of dies to Zalae's dagger, but it is still around. He can use the Harrison Jones to remove Zalae's dagger so that he cannot get the charge with the Deckhand unless he spends 2 mana daggering up, which he doesn't want to do because he's trying to complete the quest.
The problem...
So that's the play I'd love to see from RDU. Just poke in the Acolyte into one of the healthy 1/2s, poke in the Tar Creeper into one of the minions, Sleep with the Fishes, then trade with the Ghoul into the final minion, play Harrison Jones to remove the dagger to protect your Tar Creeper, and deny the charge from South Sea Deckhand.
One thing that I just dislike about this hand is the fact that now he has 2 Dirty Rats, and they are pointless. Almost pointless.
Well,
after the completion of quest,
they're
unless
not-
you have Brawl.
He has the Brawl, yeah. So he can combo with Brawl, he can combo it with Fishes combos so that he can clean up Zalae's board and exhaust him of resources. Because that's how Taunt Warrior wins. They have to completely remove all the minions from the Quest Rogue's hand. But RDU is really holding on to this Fishes aggressively. He feels like he needs more value out of the Fishes because the hand size from Zalae is so intimidating to him. He doesn't know that there's 3 Vanishes in his hand. He's assuming those are all minions. So he's assuming there's going to be many board floods from Zalae, so he needs that additional removal there. So he doesn't go for the full clear that turn, and instead waits for a bigger value Sleep with the Fishes later, hoping the Alley Armorsmith sets it up a little bit.
With the Curator in hand, he also is guaranteed to draw Primordial Drake, which is needed for that Sleep with the Fishes on turn 10.
Yeah.
But it's still very awkward to just deal with this board.
This board is easy to deal with.
Yeah, but it's awkward because then you lose the Sleep with the Fishes, right?
You do lose the Sleep with the Fishes, but that is pretty good. You kill a lot of really great minions as well. Taking out 2 Chargers is very powerful. But Brawl may be more appealing here.
And there's the Drake.
Yeah.
So Brawl, with the Fury Warx, gives you a high chance of actually killing the minion. You can still win the Brawl.
Yeah.
So you have 2 good outcomes.
You have
Actually,
4
4 good outcomes,
Yeah,
yeah.
4 out of 6 good outcomes for you are amazing. So the Brawl looks fantastic here. Are the other options?
Well, you can Dirty Rat.
You can. Well, if you Dirty Rat Brawl, then you don't Fiery Warx.
Yes.
So
but
I
at
don't
least
like it
you
as much.
take 1 5/5 out of the hand, kill it.
You do kill an extra 5/5. You trade a 2/6 taunt for a 5/5.
Oh, interesting.
He's gonna go with the sleep play. It looks like.
That kills 3 minions, but loses the entire clear with Primordial Drake on turn 10.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I like that.
I don't like this as much. Instead of killing all of the minions, he kills half of the minions.
And loses loses the brawl. And doesn't develop the Fury Warx for turn 9 double Dirty Rat with another brawl. If you would have.
Well, yeah, the merits to his play is he does save the brawl. And he values the brawl higher than the sleep at the fishes. And I have to imagine that's because he has this Dirty Rats in hand, and he wants to try and set up an area where he can extend to the Dirty Rats and get all the cards out of Zalae's hand and completely clear it all in the one brawl at the end. But I would have really preferred to see him utilize brawl there and save the fishes for the Primordial Drake fishes play.
Especially with Dirty Rats being 6 HP. So they can be played before turn 10, get those minions out, and prepare for the clear.
Right, yeah, because they just heal you a lot. They're pretty good taunt minions.
Choose soon.
So it's not turn 10 yet, so he's not worried about the fishes clear. But Brawl, once again, not too bad here. You can play alongside the Dirty Rat, but it's not as... Wow, the second fish is drawn for RDU. But you can see how this Brawl is a little bit worse than the previous one, because the Warx isn't able to clean up the final minion. But he is trading both Dirty Rats in now.
3 out of 9, he wins the Brawl. If he wins with Harrison Jones, that's actually gigantic. It's huge.
It is pretty good.
Unfortunately, the shard is remaining.
That's a pretty good
bad.
one. Yeah. 10-10 worth of stats there for Zalae. One of the minions he definitely wanted to pick up in this situation. But he's going to get met with another board clear.
And if he commits to the Tidehunter, I would like to see one of the Vanishers being played.
It generates 1 5/5, so it's not a very strong Vanish.
Yeah, but you can play one of the 5/5s and have 2 5/5s on the board while still having the Tidehunter in your hand.
Well, if you Vanish now, you only have 1 mana, so you just play like the Glacial Shard or the 1 mana 5/5 taunt.
Yeah, that's no,
yeah, you're trading Vanish for 1 5/5, so it's
it's late.
You hope the board sticks around, and then maybe you take value trades and then Vanish your board to heal it and then extend it again. But yeah, every time you can bounce this Biofin Tidehunter, you do gain an additional 5/5. But it's a bit tricky to get it in spots where you can bounce it. He is going to go for it, like you said. He just doesn't have any minions. And he uses the Vanish on the far left, trying to conceal the Mimic Pod cards the best he can. I assume RDU does know that those are Vanishes by this point in the game.
Think so?
Yeah, of course. They've been there since turn 3.
Well,
so,
he also knows that those two were from the Mimic Pod,
yes.
and the Dirty Rats didn't pull them.
And the Dirty Rats didn't pull them. They're from the Mimic Pod. They've been there since turn 3. I think he's got a very good handle on the fact that those are Vanishes.
5 out of 7. The Primordial Drake is being drawn. Now Zalae is like, if he sweeps the fishes, he has guaranteed the clear. So I have to be worried about what's happening right now. That's a fantastic draw. That is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, he needed that gas.
Now what he can do is actually play that Tidehunter as well, if he doesn't want to develop the board.
Firefly, also another great pickup.
Now he can actually go for Firefly, Vanish, play Firefly.
Well, the issue with these Vanish plays to create value is you don't really put any threats out on the board.
Yep, it's true, but you have no
so
charges as well.
Yeah.
But then that Vanish just says 100% RDU, yet the other guys also Vanish.
Well, he knows that. He knows it. RDU's a professional. He knows those are Vanishes. He's been following the hands.
It's a long day.
It's a
a third best of 7 in a row for him.
Right. I have to imagine he's aware. Needs to bump into the Curator and kill it.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think this is better. You have to force him to Drake fishes. If you don't force it to happen, then you're just not putting enough pressure out to try and actually win the game.
It has to be Drake fishes, right?
Well, if he can get away with anything else, he'd rather do anything else. But a lot of the times,
it's 6 out of 7 for the quest.
you know those are vanishes. So since you know those are vanishes, if vanish comes down, then your opponent is going to get a lot of very good minions here, which is some incentive to Drake Fishes. But if you can kind of get away with maybe Ali Armorsmith Ghoul this turn.
Isn't it just better than to play Hatchling into Ali Armorsmith than the Ghoul? The Ghoul just kills 1 minion, but the Hatchling has 6 HP, so it either deals the damage to the face and takes 1 damage anyway.
Well, you don't get to squeeze in the armor up then, so...
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, they both kill a 5/5/5, right? But the one you gain 2 life, the other your opponent takes 3 damage. And I think your life is a bit more important. But
I like
yeah,
this.
it's it just because you know the vanish is there. These are too strong of minions for that vanish, so you have to kind of clear them out. The novice engineer, the Biolfin Tidehunter, those bounce effects are too good to let Zalae get them back. Ooh.
If that novice engineer would still be alive.
So he's seen 2 Sleep with the Fishes, 1 Brawl. There is only 1 Brawl left for RDU for clearing.
But the quest is getting closed, and that means now the hero power is able to clean up minions every single turn.
Okay, yeah.
And also, the weapon is just 8 damage.
I'd like to see maybe the Vanish come out here. Make your opponent's Primordial Drake go away. Give yourself an additional 5/5. And now you just flood the board and hope RDU doesn't have the second Brawl. I don't know if Zalae can really afford to play around the second Brawl. His hand is so thin right now. So I would prefer going all in against it. You've seen 2 Sleep with the Fishes and 1 Brawl. I guess the other issue is RDU kind of has enough life that he can just stutter out removal.
Shadow Step right now. Oh, I was valuing that for a charge minion at some point.
It's kind of like his one, right? Because the 5/5 comes into play.
But it doesn't deal damage.
It
And if
doesn't
it's
deal the
met
damage,
with the last brawl,
He still has 2 5/5s behind, but yeah, he used all his mana extending, so it's about as all in as he could go.
so 1 minion left for the quest.
Right. So you can start trying to snipe off some of these minions with hero powers.
So if he goes for the cheapest minion, actually doesn't make sense. Well, it kinda makes. Actually no, because Armorsmith plays around the dagger, so it takes 2 attacks, generates 2 hero powers. So it's by getting the armor, right?
Right.
That means he's getting the same outcome as playing 2 smaller taunts. And you still get to squeeze the hero power with the Sulfuraz and attack for 4.
Yeah, the Armorsmith is fairly solid. It doesn't set up for the Primordial Drake like the Direhorn Hatchling would. So I kind of lean more towards the Direhorn Hatchling. And then you can equip the weapon, swing, face, hero power.
But the Direhorn Hatchling only gets setups for 1 kill with Primordial Drake. Ooh. Interesting.
He's just going to get you just Primordial Drake into Primordial Drake. It is the biggest taunt minion he can play, so there's some merits to that. And he is able to immediately remove the Firefly. This helps him play around the final Vanish remaining in Zalae's hand. Because now the Vanish is extremely weak. And it sets up nice trades on board, of course.
And a Mimic Pod. Well, that is huge. What does he get? 2 Stontas Boars? Ooh.
Nothing really too good left to bounce.
Yep. He needs now to get that Stontas Boar, which he has 2 in his deck still.
Yes.
1 deckhand. So 3 more charge minions in his deck, and his deck getting thin, about 8 cards, maybe 9.
Yeah, probably a little more than that, but you're right. It is very thin. He has got double Stone Tusk board deckhand in there, like you said. So the Chargers are coming. But so are the taunts.
Drink with me, friend. Nice to meet you.
Alright, well, this is the turn when you probably start using hero power to snipe down minions or finish up the game.
If he daggers the face this turn, yeah, he should definitely dagger the face, obviously. He just has the mana to do so, so why not? But, yeah, with Vanish, you can go Vanish the taunts, then the 1 mana Charger, and then hit face for 5, pick it up with the Youthful Brewmaster, play it again, hit face for 5 again, dagger face, that's 11 damage.
That's
So
a huge chance of lethal next turn.
Yeah, he's got 3 Chargers that would all potentially give him lethal if RDU does not gain armor. And RDU knows that Zalae's hand. He knows it's Vanish plus Youthful Brewmaster right now. So he's aware that there are 3 chargers that would allow Zalae to do 11 damage through any number of taunts. So that's what's going through his mind, figuring out, all right, well, how do I not die through that?
Ali Armor Smith is not an answer. Actually, not a single taunt is an
No,
answer.
he needs to hit the hero power button if he wants to try and make sure that he can't die to that.
So he can use the hero power, then play Soul for us, then play...
It's, I want to see if you go hero power, Ravaging Ghoul, Ali Armorsmith, does that keep you alive?
Isn't that better than to go for the Stonehill Defender instead of the Ghoul? You gain
And the
a
Ghoul
taunt.
sets up for helping you remove the minions after they trade into Ali Armorsmith. Because the Ali Armorsmith...
But you know it's a Vanish.
Right. But assuming that he doesn't hit it. And if the Vanish happens, you have the hero power that you've used, so you stay alive through that. So, 3 chargers here that are all lethal for Zalae.
No, it's a Tar Creeper.
That's not it.
Oh, this is slowing down. RDU cannot generate more armor now.
Right. Well, the Ali Armorsmith generates the more armor. So Zalae's going to need to connect with 3 5/5s, not just 2. He can use his Youthful Brewmaster to heal one of his minions up.
He
You can, you can use it to heal both of his minions up, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And also freeze the warrior in place.
Right, so the weapon can't be swung. Which, since he needs 3 5/5s, the Vanish Charger, Youthful Charger combo is no longer really applicable.
I should meet you.
Too soon.
I imagine if you're extending this much, why not extend the Tar Creeper?
Well, then the Brawl can as a blowout.
The Brawl's a blowout either way. I think you have to do it to start setting up for lethal. You can assume most likely the hero power kills one of your minions. I don't know. I think if we're going to hold back a minion, why not hold back the Youthful Brewmaster, play the Tar Creeper, so we still have the burst in our hand. Not a fan.
Okay, that helps a lot. Now let's see if it fits actually the mana curve. Hero power to kill 1, Ghoul, Execute to kill another 1, and Stonehill Defender to fit the curve and get a taunt. in the
Yeah,
way.
just get a little bit of a wall going on. Okay, I can see that. That seems nice.
So you start with the Stonehill Defender in case it changes something, but I can't really see any outcome. Not bad. Just a Drake. Okay. Why?
I'm not sure.
The 2 damage on them doesn't really change anything apart from the fact that they trade with the Primordial Drake, but now it's actually valid to vanish to have those minions
Right.
back in the hand for charges.
Yeah, if Zalae had hit any of his 1-drops, he could vanish here, play Tar Creeper plus a 1-drop, and be threatening a lot of different lethals utilizing his Youthful Brewmasters. So giving the opportunity to give both these Youthful Brewmasters back, a little sketchy. I think you have to vanish here as Zalae. I think giving away these Youthful Brewmasters is discarding too much value from your deck. He still has a Novice Engineer left. Still has those Chargers all remaining that he can utilize with the Youthful Brewmasters to push for the lethal damage.
RDU seems to be,
Too soon.
I think, upset about that turn a little bit. You know, realizes that he gave an out.
It's unfortunate for Zalae that he has 2 Tar Creepers with his Vanish, so he can't really develop 10-10 worth of stats back onto the board, but
Oh, he
Oh,
does
he's-
them. Oh my god.
he's
okay.
going all in against the Brawl. He's going to
And-
let it stick.
Oh no, he
Okay.
trades with the Brewmasters.
No, he doesn't. He was just poking with the dagger, was he? No, he's trading with both Brewmasters.
Yeah,
huh?
that's horrible.
That is a sketchy
He
position
has
for
1
sure.
ferryman left.
1 Ferryman, but the 3 Chargers. You can use the Vanish as a way to bounce in the minions, but these taunts are going to kind of slow him down a little bit.
And now,
Ghoul Execute. You can Hero Power first,
Hero power first.
and then Ghoul Execute, and then drop down taunts every single turn. And RDU should be able to secure the game from there.
Trading those Brewmasters was really a big decision.
Yeah,
Let's see what's the pickup. Abomination, Curator. Ordinary Direhorn is the best one because it can get also Divine Shield.
There you go.
Or +1 HP.
That's not too bad. Your opponent does have a limited life total, so daggering down that 6/6 can be a bummer. Prep is absolutely no help for Zalae.
Oh, well, he can use Vanish for 3 mana now.
Fantastic.
Seems like the fate of the quest stroke is actually sealed.
Yeah, there was a lot of tricky turns in there with how you're supposed to utilize Vanish to increase your minion count and be able to push through things. So
Keep them
Very-
for charges.
very tricky game to play.
He actually had the choice to utilize the Youthful Proof-Masters as well to a bigger extent. I mean, the Mimic Pods were really unlucky for Zalae. Hitting the Vanish and the Brewmasters.
I don't think Vanish is that bad in this matchup.
Yeah.
I honestly think
But it would have been better if you just get Stuntas board.
it would have been better, obviously. It's no Despore, you just kill him and win, for sure. But I think he could have managed to utilize these Vanishes a lot better than he did. I think all of the Vanishes got extremely low value, and he wasn't able to accomplish what he needed to do with them. So even though I think he got unlucky with it, I think he could have managed that luck a little bit differently.
Out of my jungle.
And it's kind of funny, but a lot of players are not practicing quest work so much because of the fact that it gets so often banned.
Right, and people say, oh, it's just quest rogue, you complete the quest
Yeah,
and win.
you just slam the Shadow Steps and it's
Yeah,
okay. But it's
and-
actually the most complicated most complicated deck in the metagame.
It's one of them, for sure.
You think there's something more complicated than quest stroke?
I mean, every deck has its own intricacies and areas that are complicated. Decks are not really more or less complicated. They're just kind of different. And Quest Rogue plays out very differently from any other deck in Hearthstone, which makes it kind of more complicated because no one's really used to playing it because
True.
it's so different.
RDU, I think he takes a break for a second.
That was one of RDU's most difficult decks to make out of the set there. The
Correct.
Taunt Warrior. That is what Zalae's entire lineup is targeting. So RDU winning with that Taunt Warrior is absolutely huge.
Bonkers.
Yeah, he is was really unfavored. Now he's probably only he's still pretty unfavored because the Paladin's still there. So he's up 2-1 at a slight disadvantage, but after seeing how that game played out, managing to get a win with the Taunt Warrior, he's in a lot better position. He might be
Yes.
able to do it.
And we didn't see yet a change of playstyle from RDU, and I think that's needed for those final pushes with the Paladin.
The Paladin's going to be tough, yeah.
Yeah, he needs to be more aggressive with that deck, definitely.
Well,
like,
the problem with being aggressive with Paladin is you're aggressive with what?
well, you know, Stonehill Defender is kind of neat.
I get lucky off Stonehill Defender, I guess, but it is not the easiest deck to push aggression with. It's got Doomsayers in it. You know, it's very passive.
The biggest push can be Tarim.
Right,
You
that's-
build up the board, then you push for
Identifying
Tarim
the
and
key
go.
time for Tarim is how you win with that deck. A player that's very, very good at that we saw pilot Control Paladin to like an undefeated success in the North American preliminaries was Muzzy. He was playing a very similar Control Paladin to what RDU's playing, and he was just crushing people left and right with it. And it all came down to when you play that Sunkeeper Tarim, and if you can find the exact perfect moment, that's how you can win these games. But it's really tough to be able to set up that moment and be able to identify it like 4 turns ahead of time, land it, and get enough pressure to push with it.
Especially that it requires a huge setup.
It requires a huge setup, and it requires you to get a little bit lucky. You know, sometimes your opponent has the AoE and clears your Terran push.
Yep.
And then what are you going to do? But that's the nature of an unfavored matchup. You got to identify your win condition, plan for it, hope they don't have the answer.
Exactly. Well, we'll see if RDU will actually pick up the Paladin right now. He has 2 classes left, and that's
The Paladin,
Paladin and the
the Shaman was
Shaman-
banned.
Shaman was banned.
Shaman's banned.
So he's
He's
left
got the
with
Rogue. He has
Rogue.
not gotten a win with yet. The
Exactly.
Rogue shouldn't be a problem, though. The Rogue has quite favorable matchups across the board now that the Mage is out of the way. That was really the only problem deck for his Rogue.
And it was still very close.
It was still very close. The Quest Rogue could be a problem for his Rogue because he's not running Cold Bloods, which is one of the cards that really help you beat Quest Rogue. Because Quest
Yeah.
Rogue has a hard time trading with your early minions. So if you just jam Cold Blood on stuff early on, you can really kill him. But he's running the Giants instead, which are a little bit too slow often against Quest Rogue. But
Yeah, the way to deal with those Cold Bloods is basically patches and deckhand and Stuntas board.
Right, so if it's on a 3 health minion, you kind of have to dagger it a lot of the time, and that just hurts. When Cold Blood becomes 1 mana deal 8, it's a bummer, but no Cold Bloods in his rogue list. The Giants, because he's targeting, I don't know, he's just a style preference, I guess. Some people like Cold Blood, some people like Giants. They have slightly different matchups here and there.
Well, it depends on the metagame as well. RDU was predicting a different metagame. He was predicting like more aggro-ish a metagame, and Arcane Giants, I believe, are more helpful in that regards because you can.
They're a little slower, so yeah, but I'm not totally sure which one's better against aggro. But Rogue in general, as an archetype with the backstabs and the SIs, if you include a bunch of minions in it, you include the double swash, double hallucinate, can be quite solid against the aggressive decks. And he is queuing up that Rogue deck with the Arcane Giants, and he's going to be facing down against the Paladin. And the most important part that makes this matchup slightly Rogue favored is the ability to stop the early game Murloc snowball. You want to find backstab, you want to find SI.
You want to find a coin.
The coin would be fantastic too. Counterfeit coin can be still drawn. And you just stop your opponent from landing the Murloc buffs, keep them off the board, and if Paladin is off the board, it really struggles. There's so many cards that do nothing when they don't have the board. Spike Ridge Steed does nothing. General Megasaur does nothing. War Leader is extremely weak if Paladin does not have the board. So Rogue strives with removal and clearing things. So as long as he can find that removal and keep Zalae off the board, he's going to be in great shape.
This is why it's so crucial to keep the Swashbuckler in the opening hand, because it gets it that 1 additional damage to kill the 1-drops from Zalae.
Yeah, and
Just-
it thins your deck, allowing you to find better cards like the backstabs and the eviscerates that you need.
Oh, that's actually pretty damn sweet.
That's not bad.
It's on curve. It gets you a bigger auctioneer, so it's not in range of Trucifer.
Zalae's not even playing True Silver, but it does get it outside the range of his other weapon. He has the Vine Cleaver in there, as
Yep.
well as the Rallying Blade, so it gets it out of the range of the Vine Cleaver. But yeah, just being able to shut down the first minion here is so impactful.
Actually, does it work with Edwin? Yeah, it works, because
works with
it
Edwin,
doesn't override the stats. It just adds up to the basic.
And he's going to be playing it here, it looks like.
That's interesting, because I was thinking like maybe just develop the
The dagger, yeah.
dagger, still have a 1/1. The thing just didn't change. It's still the same outcome on the board. You just have a different minion and one less card in your hand, but you can benefit from the outfitter if you play it after Mimic Point, which is not a huge
If you hit
change.
a minion. This allows you to potentially play Edwin on curve as a 3/3 if you want, to help contest things. But yeah,
Ooh, double hallucination. That's pretty sweet.
it's not a bad card to get for sure.
Especially in turn 4, you can hallucinate into Edwin. You get a 5/5.
Not a lot going on the hand here for Zalae.
Has to be. Man, that feels so bad.
He's got no other Murloc synergies in hand. He's just kind of dumping it out there. This is going to be a big Edwin. There are
Left
Eldor
card?
Peacekeepers in Zalae's deck.
Primal Field Champion. Well, if you would actually play Cold Blood, it would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting one. It's,
Those are actually horrible.
I mean, the fun part is you could, like, backstab it and then get a backstab back in your hand. So you could cycle with Gadget, like, really quickly. But yeah, it's obviously not the pick here.
Lay on Hands, Crime Street Enforcer, which can be played next turn.
The Grime Screen Enforcer is great here.
Yep.
Yeah, because Zalae's going to be struggling to clear this Edwin, which means RDU is going to have board control. And if you have board control, Grime Street Enforcer is not going to be able to get killed, which is fantastic.
Uneven Edwin. Better face.
Yeah, that is weird, huh?
Right.
The 9/9.
It had stealth as well.
Yeah, it did. In the beta,
That
Edwin
was nuts.
had a different stat line and was uneven and had stealth.
Oh, that kind of resolves the problem.
A lot of people say Edwin's busted now. It was really busted before.
And Mana Addict was busted as well.
What did Mana Addict do?
Well, it wasn't about the Mana Addict itself. It was about the fact that Conceal was for 0 mana,
Oh, okay.
and it was a permanent stealth
Permanent stealth.
until you.
Oh, yeah,
dealt
yeah, yeah,
damage.
the pre-nerf Conceal was just busted. Yeah, I remember that.
And you also had Adrenaline Rush, but that's alpha.
Okay.
When you
yeah.
had 1 mana, draw 1 card, combo, draw 2 cards.
Holy smokes. Talk about a good draw engine.
And the hero power was better.
And the gadget cost 5 mana.
Yeah.
Rogue got nerfed to hell.
Backstab could damage damage minions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the what's it called? The bandits.
Bandits.
The 2-mana combo created 2-1. What was it called?
Yeah, beat it.
Yeah, beat it. Our city, right? Scrubs. Well, it was a 2-3.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't play that card if it was a 2/3. So that one's okay. The other ones though, they needed to nerf. But Spike Ridge Seed coming up for Zalae. He needs some way to trade in with this Enforcer before it gets really out of control and starts buffing everything like crazy. The Mean Street Marshal draws a card.
I was like thinking about it. How does he buff this Buford Cold Blood? And
It's sick.
It's actually
The
works out.
Enforcer combo to buff it up.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And the Black Knight is completely useless.
Yeah, it's not
In
a
this
great card
matchup.
in this matchup.
Unless the third hallucination gives RDU a taunt.
Right, or Swashbuckler does so.
Yeah, exactly. So you might actually still keep it. You think that's the Terran turn?
This is not the Terram turn.
Well, even if the Marshal would have been 1-2, it could have been buffed to 3 and then draw a card.
Yeah, that's not good. You're buffing 2 of your opponent's minions and debuffing 1, and like, I don't even know if buffing or debuffing what's going on to your minion, but it's not that great. I imagine it's more going to be tempo Black Knight.
You pass the test for knowing when to Terran or when to not to Terran.
Right, yeah, this is not to Terram. But,
It's not the time to Terran.
and you don't want to play the Rallying Blade because that removes the ability for Vine Cleaver next turn, or makes it at least a little worse for you, so...
But you need to kill something this turn.
Yeah, I say you just go with the Black Knight. You expect the 5/6 trades into your 2/6, and then, you know, you try and clean that up with Vine Cleaver next turn. But Zalae is going to be taking this minion out, preserving the health total on his minion.
It's actually kind of sad because it gives RDU additional draw, which might change a lot for the Miracle Rogue.
Good.
Lasher. That's the first spell for that Gadsden Auctioneer in the upcoming turns. Very important, actually, when you think about it.
Okay, one of the things that actually setting up his weapon last turn does is really make the Sunkeeper Terram a lot better this turn,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
now he has the ability to kill one of the 3/3s when he knocks him down. The hero power becomes a 3/3. So yeah, he was setting up for this Terram this turn. This Terram actually looks amazing now.
Amazing. It's good.
Amazing. Yeah. He could be even greedier. Try and set up for the Super Terram. Swing with Vine Cleaver this turn. Get 2 additional 1/1s from that. And then next turn, swing again with Vine Cleaver, getting 2 1/1s. And then play the Terram with a hero power. Now that would Terram a new one. He would have to take the Giant to the face, you know, at one time. So he would be taking 15 damage to pull that off. But I don't think it's crazy. I really don't. I want to see him swing with this Vine Cleaver.
He takes some time.
That's the offensive play. The defensive play is just going with the Terram now.
All right.
Zalae is going with the slightly less aggressive play and trying to clean up the board right now.
Kills the minions that had actually the biggest effect if bounced. So that still can happen. Oh my, that's a big draw.
Pretty helpful here.
Still pushing for damage. A big board that is not easily killable, and RDU knows there's an equality.
But if he uses this Vile Spine on turn 7, usually what happens when Paladins had pretty suboptimal plays throughout the game, and it goes to their turn 8, they play something big. They either play Tyrion or Ragnaros Lightlord. So I really like the decision here by RDU. Even though the Vile Spine's amazing there, he knows what's coming next, holds back the Vile Spine to be able to play around Tyrion and Ragnaros Lightlord efficiently.
Fortunately for Zalae, another Peacekeeper is being
Yeah,
drawn.
right on time, these Peacekeepers. So he can defuse this second Giant and stay in this. Otherwise, he would have likely committed an 8-drop and gotten really blown out by Vile Spine Slayer.
Alright. Well, the Stonehill Defender can give another Terram as well. Let's see if that's... It feels like StarLadder I-League Season 3 should be named StarLadder I-League Season Terran.
That has been the card. It is the most influential card in all of Paladin, I'd say, and people get it a lot.
look
Yep,
at that.
there it is. It's so insane. It's so great at being offensive, and it's so great at being defensive at the same time. It's a beautiful card. And honestly, at this point, RDU's starting to run out of threads.
Yeah.
This is the second giant being answered. What is really left? He's got
He has no Edwin left. He has no Gadgetons. Well, one Gadgeton is
one
left.
Gadgeton left.
but
He has
it's
the
not a
one
threat.
questing adventure, one Vilespine Slayer, and like that's about it.
The questing adventure is actually fantastic because even
Right.
after Tarim, it can still get buffed. But that's about it.
Yeah.
This guy's toast.
That is so awkward. So here in this scenario, he still keeps the Vilespine Slayer for the crucial 8 drops that Zalae still can draw or drop in case he doesn't have them in the hand, but he can still prolong kind of the agony of the rogue. He just puts the roadblocks on the way, pushes RDU to develop his board
And
for
then
another
plays the
Terran
Terran.
turn.
Yeah, exactly. And the way he can push him to develop the board, yeah, that Vine Cleaver, come down, start cleaning things up. He's not under. Zalae's not really under any pressure right now, so I'd love to see this opportunity to develop this cleaver. And the Terran with the Vine Cleaver is absolutely disgusting.
Yep. Especially at the distance, you can actually create 3 minions.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
9 mana of value after Tarim.
It's insane. He also has the ability, if he wants to drop either Tyrion or Light Lord. Just so much gas in his hand. But yeah, this setup, having the weapon available, remove your opponent's minion before playing Tarim, and create a bunch more 3/3s.
Radu knows what's happening. When Divine Cleaver comes after Stonehill Defender,
Yeah, you definitely gotta imagine he's thinking about it. In the back of his mind, he's assuming, oh jeez, did he get it? Did he get another Sunkeeper Tarim? He needs a fan of knives then.
well, he has a
Gadget
chance.
double prep. That's one way to get there.
He sets up a good Fan of Knives. There we go.
Oh.
That is so important. Oh, we forgot about Shadows.
Okay, yeah, that's a threat that keeps on giving.
And an agent to clean up the entire board.
Happy little board swing.
And he will still be left with that Gadgeton for the next turn, most likely.
Both preps gone. No spell being played after the second prep, so Zalae's going to be able to identify there are no spells in RDU's hand, which means there are only minions, which means it basically has to be this card's, because how many minions are left in RDU's deck besides these ones?
Second Gadgeton.
Okay, and second Vilespine
And-
Slayer,
Yeah, that's
and
about,
that's about it.
in the questing adventure.
And the questing adventure. But he can begin to assume there's probably a Vilespine Slayer in there.
Yes, most likely.
That's one of the things he can really assume.
Yeah, but it's really unlucky that Zalae can't deal with that auctioneer. It's actually
Yeah,
buffed beyond, recognition.
It's pretty funny. If the Gadgets and Auctioneer was actually a
4/4?
4/4, he
Yeah,
could
that's no
swing
problem.
first and then create 2 6/6s with Tarim. But because of how it pans out here, he has to play the Stonehill Defender, then swing after, creating only 1/1s.
That is so awkward. But it has to be done.
You could make an argument potentially to ignore the Gadget, kill the SI7 and then play it. So then you would have all of these being 3/3s. It's not crazy.
Okay, so now RDU can actually develop a decent board. Use the backstep to kill one of those 3/3s, either with the dagger or with the Thalnos. But I really like to develop the Shadows in this turn. Huh. Does that help? Not really.
Not really. It's not spectacular. It's not what you're looking for, that's for sure.
Unless you really want to put that second Gadgeton Auctioneer out of the range of that Vine Cleaver.
Yeah, Imagine he's gonna just develop Sharons and send these 3/3s to the dome.
And backstep one of the 3/3s, right?
Too soon.
Well, he can
Backstep clear 3/3 seems logical to me, yeah.
but he can still keep the backstep for the second Gadgeton.
He could do that.
That's a tough
He
decision.
really needs to close out this game soon because his deck is running out of steam. He's running out of damage.
That's a natural choice. Now the dagger. Okay, so he keeps the dagger for the final push with Gadgeton. I don't blame him for that. Otherwise, the Gadgeton draw is basically a dead draw. In
Right.
this case, you change it into a cycle, which is fantastic because you're running out of steam anyway. So it's very needed.
So in order to play around Vilespine Slayer number 2, if you
That's
play
the
it,
second one.
That is the second one? Well, if
Can't remember.
I think it's the first. If it's the first, you want to play Light Lord so that you can heal, and then when your minion gets destroyed, it doesn't matter. If you taunt and then get Vilespine Slayered, there's a % chance that you just die as Zalae. So
Oh, there's also one more aspect with the backstab. It's actually the 4th card in case Shaman dies.
okay, that makes a lot of sense as well.
Alright, so I guess the Light Lords get slammed on.
Yeah. So this way, if Vilespine Slayer comes out, or you're still alive.
Dr. Boom.
Doctor Boom, Doctor Light Lord.
It has to be now a Doctor Reverse Boom with Wombos that heal 1 to 4.
Okay. That would be a sweet card.
So, oh man, that's unlucky. You can't attack with Shaman first, so you can backstab and get it back.
Right. It's a bit awkward there.
But you need to kill it.
Or inflict 1 damage to it.
Okay, but that means you're getting 8 damage, or just backstab it. So you
Yeah.
deal 5 damage to the face.
Like, you could backstab, ignore it, hope it heals itself. That's a viable way that you could win this game. I feel like if he's sinking his minion into it, he's not going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the questing sticks. Okay.
How is that gonna stick with the Light Lord on board?
Well, I mean, you kill the Light Lord. I mean, that's how he can win if he clears the Light Lord. Is if the
Okay.
questing sticks, he can still win while clearing the Light Lord. He loses the game on the spot to equality, for example, though.
Yeah, the Murloc is not looking like an equality to me. Equality for Murlocs. New movement.
New movement.
Still, cards like Tyrion are problematic. You're gonna draw 1 card, second with the Falnos, so you can in theory old value to Tyrion, but then just dies to weapon. I mean, the question convention just dies to weapon, and you're left with nothing.
You could also try and cure it. You can go Stonehill Defender here, try and get another Tarim. Tarim wins you the game on the spot because you just answer the final minion in this questing adventure. And then if you don't hit anything, you can play the Curator. Just set up 2 taunts, so if Vilespine Slasher comes out, you're chilling.
Both hallucinations were being played. No, that was a Swashbuckler. So 1 hallucination is left, which can give Divine Favor
Okay, that would be a crazy one.
or Lay on Hands.
Yeah, I like Stonehill Defender into Curator. The other play is, of course, Tyrion. Gonna go with the Tyrion.
Okay. Oh, I like it, to be honest. Like, you can kill Thalnos here, and... Oh, okay.
You don't want to kill the Thalnos. Your opponent's gonna kill the Thalnos to try and get the draw anyway, a lot of the time. But the Phantom Knives is a punish for sure.
Yeah. Oh my god, you see in Zalae's face?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's a horrible draw. And you need to play it if you want to... Yeah, you need to play it.
Play it. Why? Oh, to buff the.
To buff the questing
Well, you
adventure
can
so
trade
you
in
kill-
your. You can trade in your Thalnos first. If you go in with this questing adventure, and a Consecrate comes out.
Well, the weapon stays for Zalae. So there's a clear 100% if you trade with a 7/7. Because it gets 5 damage from the weapon.
Right. So that's not really an option because
So you need to top deck Eviscerate
you need to
from-
top deck and Eviscerate or
from
the
the
Vilespine
Thalnos.
Slayer.
Okay, how many cards are left in the deck? Like 5, I guess?
Is there an Eviscerate left?
One was used for sure.
Okay.
I guess there has to be still one since RDU is going for it. Hallucination.
Could get something.
Blessing of Kings.
That's damage. Now you can hold on to the coin in case you draw the gadget.
No. He needs to resurrect the Charizard.
Oh, resurrect the Sharzan for sure. Yeah, that's better than waiting to draw the gadget. Yeah, so he resurrects the Sharzan.
It gets +1/+1 as well. Oh no!
No, it does
doesn't.
not.
Okay.
I would have thought it would.
Well, it's not summoned.
Right, it's resurrected.
No, it's undormant.
Undormanted. Yeah, sure. Whatever keyword.
But that's kind of weird.
That is really weird. Is you can always get Sunkeeper Tarim.
For the 3rd time in the game.
That's an out.
I think he didn't get it.
No.
That's really awkward, though.
You can give yourself more tries at getting it with the hydrologist.
Yeah, but the other option would be just to play the Curator and soak the damage. And I think that's better.
Right. It depends what you get. If you get something you can play alongside the hydrologist, maybe not so bad. There you go. Wicker Flame Burn Bristle is a great way to slow down your opponent. They have to send 2 attacks into it, and it heals you each time.
That's actually nasty. And there's no sap anymore. 4 cards left.
Right. So you can expect the Sherazan's going to have a difficult time reviving.
Yeah. One is Gadget, one is Eviscerate. Here we go. That allows to actually clear the Wicker Flame. But it only buffs the Questing Adventure by 1, but that's big enough to not be cleared by the board, and Zalae would have to commit the attack with the weapon. But at the same time, the Curator kind of seals the deal.
The questing already does not die on board. He is worried about Gentle Megasaur, Murloc War Leader. All of that sort of stuff could come out, buffing Zalae's board, allowing him to clear. And he's worried about figuring out how does he get through the secret. So there's a Paladin. Oh wait, there's no Paladin secret up currently, actually. It's okay. Then bumping the bubble, killing the Wicker Flame before the secret comes down sounds fantastic to me. And that's okay because you're still setting up lethal. You make your gadget top deck a little worse.
But I think you need to kill it just to have a potential lethal next turn.
And to help you play around whatever the secret could be. Harrison Jones could draw towards an answer, but the Curator is already an answer on the board. Curator plus Redemption shuts down Questing Adventure for another
Both
turn.
hallucinations are being drawn already, so
Right.
you don't have to worry about random cards.
That's true.
And both Swashbucklers as well. Now you know also have 100% Gentle Megazord next turn.
So all of these Murlocs that are on the board now are going to be a threat to RDU. It looks like RDU's quest might not be completed here for this little adventure.
Why is Questing Adventure not being played in Quest Rogue? Makes no sense.
Yeah, you'd think they'd design the quest so it would be.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
they didn't think it through.
No thematic there. But this is basically gonna shut it all down.
Unless RDU suddenly has a Godsend card, Sap. Mimic Pod.
Mimic Pod into Swashburglers.
Now he used to.
Yeah, and 2 hallucinations are gone.
I'm almost out of cards.
These are too little, too late.
What's the last card?
Vilespine Slayer, I think.
That would actually be lethal.
That would have been lethal, yeah. If it is, I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that.
We need to ask him.
We need to ask him for sure, or someone should watch the VOD and tweet at us, because we are falling asleep a little bit. It is a miscasting by Firebat, which you don't see that every day, but I lost track of it, man. So there may be a second Vilespine, there may not be. But if that last card is the second Vilespine, then yeah.
That was lethal.
Then that is really unlucky for RDU, because if he did have it, then that would have been lethal. Hey, was the last card Vilespine? Yeah, the
Shrug.
crowds here at the tavern
Shoulder
don't
shrug.
even know.
They give us a cold shoulder here.
Yeah.
Well, it's 2-2 in the grand final. RDU couldn't close it out with the Rogue for the second time. Very close to, kill
Which
his
is
opponent.
surprising. This is an upset in the matchup there. Oftentimes, the Rogue is able to take down the Paladin. So, RDU is able to win his unfavorable matchup. Zalae comes right back at him, able to win his unfavorable matchup.
This entire tournament sounds like the unfavorable matchups wins.
Right. It's a lot of upsets, a lot of crazy stuff happening. So we have the Paladin from
Did someone
RDU that's
tweet
the
at
big
us?
problem deck. The Rogue, which was expected to get a win, and now has more difficult matchups left because not getting a win against that Paladin is pretty huge. Its other matchups aren't nearly as strong.
Yeah, no one tweeted. All right. So for now, we're gonna be just sitting here not knowing. But I think so. I believe that was the second Slayer. All right, this time it's Rogue against Rogue, two different archetypes. We have already spoken about this on the Miracle Rogue without the Cold Bloods. It's not really that favored in this matchup.
Yeah, the Miracle Rogue oftentimes without Cold Bloods is a little too slow to pressure the Quest Rogue as fast as necessary.
Watch out with that vodka.
Yeah, tripping over vodka bottles.
Not really surprising in Eastern Europe.
Hey, do what you gotta do.
Oh,
That is one way that RDU is able to pressure the Quest Rogue fast enough. He has one copy of Questing Adventure, and that's a card you definitely want alongside double preparation. No kidding about that.
and there's only one answer from Zalae. Actually, two. Vanish and Glacier Shard.
Right.
It's a similar card to, let's say, Frothing Berserker in this matchup. You don't want to see that. It's high health. You would need to sacrifice a lot of attacks into it, so many minions would have to die. You still probably will take the damage because of the fact that you need to finish up with the dagger or attack first with the dagger.
Right.
And Questing Adventure gets bigger and bigger, so you need to sacrifice even more than in case of Frothing Berserker. This might be really nasty.
Zalae has the decision here if he wants to try and develop his board with the Tar Creeper or try and advance towards the quest with the Mimic Pod. If he hits something off the Mimic Pod worth completing the quest on, then he can start utilizing his one bouncer on it the next turn, progressing, one turn faster towards the quest.
It's a really tough decision.
Yeah, or it's protect his life total with the Tar Creeper. But if you're going to play Tar Creeper in your deck, I say you should probably play it down on turn 3. That's why it's there.
Yeah.
So...
Turn 4 is given. It's Novice Engineer into Brewmaster.
Well, that's not given, because you do not want to use your bouncer until you've used the Mimic Pod. Because your Mimic Pod draws a card and then a copy of it. So
it draws a
gets-
Shadow Step, man.
Okay, if it hits something that's not a bouncer or not Novice Engineer, then you've kind of wasted your one bouncer, and you've kind of started a Novice Engineer when you could have been doing it on something you already have two
My
of.
god, this is disgusting.
That is a really good turn.
That is an amazing
Yeah.
turn. That is a ticket to win in this matchup.
Zalae is going to need a Vanish. That minion is on a quest. Some might say he's an adventurer.
It's getting better and better here.
It's a 6/6 already on turn 3.
There's a Glacier
Oh
Shard!
my!
And you can bounce it twice. That means you just gained at least 12 points of life.
Right. I think regardless of what you get off Mimic Pod now, you are completing the quest on the shard. You just need to not die. And I've heard not dying is a good way to win the game.
So, Glacier Shard this turn, bounce it back.
And then just kind of hang out.
Yeah, kinda.
You
You don't want to play anything else because it just dies.
You could play the crab to try and set up your dagger trade on the 2/2 there, but it's not
He's
horrible.
not playing backstab at all in his deck.
Yeah, Zalae has no backstab. He's all minions. In the slot where backstabs would be, he has like Hungry Crabs and Tar Creepers, where some players slot in removal cards.
Turn for RDU, the next one is pretty awkward. Nothing can
Now,
get played.
What Zalae could be thinking about is not Glacial Sharding at all, because he doesn't mind taking 6 and he wants to stall the Questing Adventure when it's a little bit bigger.
That's the third time this tournament when Zalae hits Vanish with Mimic, but I don't know what's wrong with him. But it has to be something with him.
It's not that great in this matchup for sure, because the Rogue also has cheap minions that it can flood after the Vanish, so you can find yourself taking a lot of damage.
6 to the face. Dagger up, another point of damage. Now Zalae knows what's up. He has a certain game plan ahead of him, and he just needs to stick to it. Oh. I still feel like you need to bounce the Glacier Shard. You can start with Novice Engineer, draw a card,
Right.
play Glacier, see what you get. If it's a second Glacier Shard, then you can actually bounce the Novice Engineer instead.
Well, if you get a second Glacial Shard, you want to bounce the shard, because that's how you're completing the quest then. If only Zalae could complete the quest with Vanishes. He would have a much easier time playing Quest Rogue if you just need to play the same spell 4 times.
Yeah.
Because he's got a great ability to do that.
RDU has to be a little bit annoyed seeing that Glacier Shard going back.
He knows that's going to be coming out again in the future.
And now he can't even use that prep this time because he has Auctioneer in his hand. I wouldn't mind actually Vanish next turn from Zalae.
Oh, for sure. He's going to vanish next turn, and then he's going to be able to, like, Shard Vanish in the future.
That's fantastic. That's like
To use it as a bouncer to get towards the quest. But his hand is just so devoid of anything. Even once he completes the quest, there's not really a lot going on there.
Well, there's a little stuff vanishing.
Yeah, his hand is vanished away at the moment.
Why
So-
is Zalae not playing golden cards? I mean, Vanish is just a basic card.
I don't play with golden cards either. By the end of a long tournament, they hurt my eyes.
Oh, okay.
So,
Makes
you know,
sense.
you anticipate the tournaments going long, especially with these control lineups. So you have to stay intensely focused on the game for a long period of time, and the golden cards can kind of mess with your eyes after 12, 14 hours playing the game.
Good point.
Yeah. So RDU to prep or not to prep? I don't like the prep. I think you just tempo Vile Spine Slayer. But
3 mana, 7/7.
not too bad. If
And
you
another
anticipate
bouncer.
the vanish, the value of the prep there is you get rid of the panda from Zalae, so you start stretching his resources thinner and thinner.
Has to be Vanish. Then 6, we have 3 Vanishes.
Well, the thing is now he's got the next bounce effects, so he can pick back up the shard if he doesn't vanish. So that kind of changes things here.
I don't know, and I would still love to see the Vanish.
So now next turn he can use the shard plus the vanish to pick it up for the final activator if he needs.
But at least one of your minions dies right now.
Yes, one of the minions does die. It's okay.
All fine.
As long as it's not the shard. He's the man on a mission. He's the guy completing the quest.
Glacier Shard is broken, man.
That's a very strong card in this deck.
Yeah.
For sure. It's able to shut down
An
so much
entire
aggression.
deck.
Yeah.
It's like Quest Stroke is like a combination of Freeze Mage and Patron War. When it comes to frustration that it creates in your opponents, because they either can't do anything or they can't deal with anything.
It's definitely a struggle in some matchups, but this one's really back and forth right now. This questing is still there. It's not really going anywhere.
Can get another Defias Ringleader. That was the name of the card.
Yeah. Speed it.
Hallucination seems like a good pickup. You can still use it next turn with Gazetin. This turn just
Well-
go for the Valspan Slayer, kill a minion.
You hate Glacial Shard so much, you could give your minion stealth. Now it can't get frozen next turn. You threaten to connect a lot of damage on the upcoming turn if there is no vanish.
Yeah, I had Cast of Vision. I was just like, the stuff is pointless.
And there's a point, and it's pretty sharp.
Problem is, mass effects affect the stuff.
So now Zalae can play the Glacial Shard on the face, then vanish the minions away, and then next time he plays it, the quest will be complete.
Keyword grapple. Minion can be bounced from the board.
That would be an interesting thing. As a countermeasure to vanish, though, that seems an odd thing to tech against. Well, maybe if they make more bounce effects, sure.
Can still be played with that stealth, which is not bad. And that's about it. I would actually like to see that.
Kind of small. It doesn't set up lethal, which is an issue. You kind of want to be...
What else are we gonna do?
What else would we do?
If
You
you
could
play
play-
without stealth, it just gets frozen because of Glacier Shard anyway.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and maybe it does set up lethal off the gadget, right? You can go gadget, coin, prep, and do a whole bunch of stuff.
Well,
Maybe you hit
would need
eviscerate.
16 damage, and you use one eviscerate, and you have no cold bloods.
Okay, so you got one eviscerate left. So you play 1, 2, 3 cards. That's 10. If you find 6 other cards to string along with that,
That would require hallucination to hallucination to hallucination.
or yeah, just double prep, double counterfeit coin, backstab, eviscerate, easy.
Didn't he use one coin already? He did.
Oh,
On
did
turn
he?
3 with
Okay.
Questing Adventure.
Quest is now complete for Zalae. Now, is he afraid of this minion or not? And even if he was afraid, you can't really vanish the questing adventure because it's just going to come back. So the threat's still there. But he's got a very powerful board set up. Patches is not the answer to RDU's problems right now.
Not really. You can still go for the Vilespun Slayer and deal some phase damage. And outgrow the 5/5 minions.
Okay.
And Edwin will also be bigger.
Yeah, he could make a huge board development play this turn with the coin, patches, Edwin, Vile Spine, and still be holding on to the prep for the gadgets and auctioneer.
It's actually not bad.
It's not bad at all. And you get to push through some damage with your questing adventure if you're not too afraid of your opponent's minions. Or if you anticipate that Zalae's Mimic Pod card is vanish, you would trade the
Again.
questing adventure. Right, and at this point, it's been sitting there a long time. So you're getting to the point where you could maybe identify that.
It would be just ridiculous if
It would be-
again,
it's-
Zalae has the same outcome. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, the Mimic Pod card's been sitting there forever. RDU correctly identifies that it is a vanish, and that's why he's taking this value trade rather than pushing to the face. So good read again by RDU identifying that it's a vanish, and he's going to try and exploit that.
That is so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's twice in a row now. RDU has been able to identify it's been a vanish Mimic Podded, and then play around it correctly. So just good hand reading. It helps.
So 1 minion gets killed. And that means, well, 2 actually. Patches gets killed as well before the Vanish gets gonna get played.
Right, you want to take care of that. You can kill the Master of Disguise. Is that the most dangerous one, or is the Vile Spine the most dangerous one?
Well, Zalae already played one Tide Hunter, and the Tide Hunter is like a saving grace in some situations because you can bounce it and create multiple taunt minions.
Right. Well, he doesn't have to worry about too much damage because there's only 4 burst damage from RDU's deck. It only has the 1 eviscerate remaining. It doesn't have the cold bloods, doesn't have chargers, so he shouldn't have any problems around burst. He's just got to decide how he wants to use these vanishes. If he wants to go for board presence, it looks like he's trying to have the max hand generation behind the vanish. So he's not going to be able to develop too many minions out this way, but he has 1 less 5/5 out, but is able to get an additional Firefly. So 1 less 5/5 on the board, but gain an extra 1 in the hand.
Well, this is awkward. You can go for a Questing Adventure, Agent, and Edwin, creating a 6/6 Edwin, but the Questing Adventure is stuck at 4. That's pretty sad.
I think you want to use the Vile Spine this turn. Make sure you clean up the Firefly so it can't get bounced again. Ooh, he's going to go for a gadget turn. He's going to be playing Edwin Van Cleef this turn, it looks like. He's hoping to hit something big here. That's,
Okay.
yeah, well, what are you going to do?
What can you do?
Well, that's going to get Glacial Sharded for sure. There's bounce effects. He knows the shard is there. He was really hoping for something big off this gadget. That was a real desperation play. Zalae is now going to flood the board with 5/5, setting up lethal and sealing the game from this point.
So this time, it seems like the favorite will actually take the match.
Yeah, it's
First time in this match.
first time in a while, but yeah, this kind of went how the Quest Rogue game versus Taunt Warrior went, but the big difference there is Taunt Warrior can kill an infinite board of 5/5s, and Rogue cannot. Once there's 7 5/5s on the field, Rogue is dead. Rogue is real dead.
So actually, the last card was backstab.
Was it backstab? Yeah. Okay.
Backstab was still killing the minion out of redemption though,
No,
but it wasn't.
comes
a
back to
help
life
for
with
the,
for injured. So it,
No,
Yeah,
no.
the-
Redemption sets it up at the 1 HP, right?
yeah, but it's injured at 1 HP. So then you backstab. You can't backstab it. It's untargetable.
What I'm talking about, that was the dagger to kill that redemption minion.
Yeah, the backstab wouldn't have changed anything in that game. So yeah, a little bit of I lost a Vile Spine Slayer in there somewhere.
Let's go, Swashbuckler, vanish. Wow,
That is not a vanish.
What a huge fork you have.
Yeah, he is getting forked. Tell you what.
Didn't want to actually make that joke, because if I would actually say that, probably would, would sound exactly like the word I would like to.
Oh yeah, because the accent.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Don't worry, I got you. Yeah, you gotta be careful sometimes, I guess.
Okay, 3-2 for Zalae. First time taking the lead in this match, actually.
Yeah, he's on match point. All he has left to get a win with is his Shaman deck.
And it's a very powerful deck. I've seen it take games, in this tournament with ease.
Right, it's been his worst performing deck throughout the entire tournament, though. Day 1, he was actually knocked down into the loser's bracket in the first group stages on the back of his Shaman taking 3 losses. And then
But I think that wasn't the problem with the deck. It was rather the problem with Zalae not having enough practice.
right, exactly. That's what I was getting to. Then day 2, he had the day off because he did advance out of groups, and he spent all day practicing the Shaman deck. He said he felt really uncomfortable with it, but now he's been in the zone with it. And we saw all throughout today it's gotten a win the first time he's queued it up pretty much every time, except in this match where it lost to the Mage at the first game of the series. But yeah, he says he's super comfortable with the Shaman deck now. He's very happy with it.
Okay, those opening hands are not actually that bad. Well, Zalae is before Mulligan. I would guess that he will keep the hacks just in case an Edwin appears or a questing adventure. Because there are not many responses to those minions, right? I mean, there's Devolve.
Devolve is very good against those. Oftentimes, the way you want this matchup to pan out is you want to devolve Edwin, you want to devolve Questing Adventure, and you want to hex Arcane Giants specifically.
And you want to Devolve Shadows in as well.
If you can, right? If you can catch it in the crossfire, sure. But you can't devolve the Arcane Giants, and you're oftentimes playing a really control-y game plan, so trying to save hex for them if you can is great. You also have Volcanoes, though, which can clean up some of those minions along the way and make up for areas where you're lacking in removal. But exhausting the rogue out of resources is often the strategy for the Jade Shaman.
So 3 cards were mulliganed.
Yeah, he kept...
No, the Hot Spring Garden was on the far left.
Okay, yeah, so he just mulliganed all of them. Looking for Volcano seems pretty solid as well.
Wow, roll
Looking
with
for
heal.
your early game, too. Try and get some Jade cards going. That's fine. I mean, your deck oftentimes, as the Jade Shaman, is toteming in the early game. You lower the cost of Thing from below, your opponent extends onto the board, you Volcano, and then you can play cheap Thing from below and swing the tempo of the game.
Agree. That's a really good turn 3 for RDU though. You can still keep the coin for the crucial Gazette turn, or for a resurrection on Terran.
Well, he could go for the tempo play and just coin shares in and then follow up with Jinyu. The max tempo curve to put out as much pressure as possible, as fast as possible, is an option for him.
But that kind of plays into the devolve.
It does play into a devolve a little bit, but it's not that bad. If they're devolving your Sherson and your Jinyu, I think you're pretty happy.
Now let's see what RDU will choose. Okay, he goes for it.
Yeah, just the tempo is so valuable. Trying to get ahead on board.
So backs up this turn as well.
Yeah, he wants to play around Maelstrom Port a little bit, right? The 5/3 body, a little vulnerable to Maelstrom after the trade happens. So you can utilize the 1/1 here to punch your way through.
I like that he keeps the Swashbuckler just in case it gets bounced or whatever.
Sure.
Maybe Spirit Echoed. Can happen.
Can.
Or like Shifter Zero's Spirit Echoed. I've seen that in this tournament already.
Yeah.
Giving,
Now-
giving an Alchemist that killed a Tar Lord.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, not killed, but
Flip the
changed
Tar
it
Lord
to
so he could kill it. Yeah,
15-5.
yeah. That was a pretty crazy event. Now, Zalae has the option of either Hex or Jade Lightning. Since he's the controlling deck and he's planning to take this game long because his win condition isn't Bloodlust or anything that's going to happen quickly. He has to build a board of Jades over time. He opts to go with the Hex here because otherwise Sherazin threatens to gain so much value across the span of the game. So I really like the decision just to, get rid of that problem.
RDU wants to play the Jinju as well as soon as possible because it gives him overload. So you don't want to overload in a crucial turn when you actually want to play Gazetan.
For sure. That's a very aggressive thing from below.
It is.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, it contests the board quite nicely. Sets up for your Maelstrom portal, so I guess that's why he does it. He does have the Volcano, though, and it depreciates the value of value of your Volcano in your hand.
So even if there are two options basically. RDU can go for the Fan of Knights, but it doesn't really help with anything. Again,
A Mimic Pod gadget. Every player is Mimic Podding the same cards every game.
So the next Mimic Pod needs to give the Archon Giant.
Right. That's probably what's going to happen. Has to be, right?
Incredible. Double Milestone Portal doesn't really change anything here. The plan for next turns. Spirit Echo is already in hand, but as you said, you kind of want to drag out the game, but at the same time, you can't really afford of not controlling the board at some point, right? You want to have the Volcano be played against a Archangent if you're lacking Hex, and you just use one.
Right.
You know that the Archangents are not coming really soon, so you can commit in that Chieftain. If that Chieftain dies, then you're in a really bad spot, but if it doesn't, and it's a small chance that it actually will live, there's a huge chance that it actually will live, the Spirit Echo has actually huge value.
He's going with a very aggressive Spirit Echo here. He says, you know what, RDU's deck doesn't have a lot of value in it. That means I don't need to get a lot of value out of my cards. I can play them really aggressively. This is the most aggressive I think we've ever seen Zalae play this Jade Shaman throughout this entire tournament. That's been one of the issues he's had with it. Throughout the entire tournament, he's been dying with tons of cards in his hand with the Jade Shaman because he's been playing too passively. That is not the case with the style he's going for this game. It's kind of interesting to see him play it so aggressively.
Yeah, I like it, although this time actually might be incorrect.
I know, this is the one matchup where I'm like, maybe you should slow down. Because I've been telling him between the games, and I've been like, giving him some tips and pointers and saying stuff to him. And I've been like, man, you keep dying with 10 cards in your hand. You got to play a little bit more for tempo.
Yeah,
So-
but this time
This time, but it's working out for him right now. He is definitely... The thing about it is when you aggressively trade even with a deck, so you trade one, you put a minion out, they put a minion out, you guys keep going back and forth, trading resources aggressively. You're not trying to 2-for-1 them or anything, you're fine just going 1-for-1 with them. Then the deck that has better late game wins at the end of the day. And Zalae is the deck with better late game. So it's just kind of like trading pieces away once you get a small advantage, kind of.
wow, he committed to Jade Chieftain. I mean, it actually makes sense now when you use the Spirit Echo.
Right.
Holy moly of turns.
It's going to be a good gadget turn, yeah.
If he gets Edwin on top of that,
Sparks are going to fly.
okay. No
These
more
Arcane
Mimic
Giants are going to go down to a very low cost, very quickly. Not going with the prep Fan of Knives.
And that's fine, because it can be kept for Falnos, Fan of Knives for the Totems as well. Holy. I don't know if I actually will do that. Yeah, I like that.
Leaving up the 5/5 there and not trying to kill it makes Volcano from Zalae's side a lot worse.
Also, it's great for that Fan of Knives that they have. You have double preps, so the second gadget is actually amazing. The problem with the second gadget is that you won't be able to play Edwin or the Questing Adventurer in your deck on top of it. So maybe
Okay.
the next turn will be just Arcane Giant,
Right.
pass.
And then you can set up to do the gadget, prep spell, Edwin.
Yes, an example. Or even just get the chance to draw the Questing Adventurer.
Sure.
It's still a chance, like 1 out of 14, I guess, right now.
Yeah.
Well, the Milestone Portal now got interesting.
That's
And
what was
with
not bad.
conjunction with the Jade Spirit, it actually Jade Claws, it actually cleans up the Auctioneer.
Doesn't want to be taking too much face damage. Look at this Jade development. So many minions on the board now for Zalae. He's significantly ahead of RDU. Not something you see from a Jade Shaman. Oftentimes, they sit back, don't develop on the board too much, but he is going guns blazing with this Jade Shaman.
I'm not sure if I like this auctioneer here. I would probably go just for the Thanos Fan of Knives.
Right, the Thanos Fan of Knives seems solid, but you're using all your spells. He is going for Thanos Fan of Knives, in fact.
Yeah, but then you don't defend your auctioneer anymore.
Well, he's got
although you
another
might not
prep-
have it.
Right, he's got another prep to find another spell.
There's the Edwin.
Yeah, the thing about Edwin in this matchup, though, is so vulnerable. Double devolve and 1 hex remaining from Zalae
my
that all could
God.
answer it. Backstab does allow the Arcane Giants to come down this turn. Holy smokes. And he gets on a questing adventure, so he's
Alright,
adding
because
additional threats to
the
his deck.
sequence is first draw from auctioneer, then from the Mimic Pod.
Yeah.
That's actually super beneficial in this situation.
Too soon.
And Arcane Giants can't be devolved.
Right. They can be volcanoed, though.
So, but if you put both,
If you put both, now you have such health total on the board. He's got 20 life on the board. Zalae can
And-
move 5 away from it, though.
yeah.
Which does mean he needs to face tank one of these giants. He could use Maelstrom Portal, actually. So he just trades in, and then he can Maelstrom Portal Volcano.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But still, RDU did that because he knows he has other threats in his hand.
He does.
Tin,
Now he's
look
got,
at that. Tin 9. Questing, Edwin.
But all 3 of those threats are answered by Devolve. Zalae has all the answers, man. He's got the Volcano for this board. He's got the Devolve for that board. If RDU can stutter
Space it
step
out.
it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bait the Devolve on the first threat and then really secure it with the next set. He can make it happen.
So, next turn can be just one questing adventure into Swashbuckler, see what's gonna happen. You can still get actually a decent card from the Shaman class in this situation.
Yeah, face tanks the gadget, gets the health total down to 15, perfect for Volcano to clear the entire board.
Where are those buff auctioneers when you need them, right?
Yeah.
6/6, 5/5.
From the previous game, yeah, he was getting all those hand buff cards. That was wacky.
Alright, this has to... Oh? No, it has to be auctioneer. The questing adventure. He had in hand his third auctioneer, but he's getting close to fatigue.
Yeah, he does not want to draw too many additional cards here.
Hallucinate first. Milestone Portal.
These
no
are not good.
elementals, right?
You wouldn't put those in your rogue deck.
Yeah, but Jade Chieftain seems to be the best out of those options here.
That hurts. He's gonna hope to try and get an elemental. He has a Swashbuckler and a second hallucination to try and do it.
Doomhammer?
That's some damage. Where's the Rock Biter?
Where's the deadly poison?
That's an elemental. That activates the Stone Sentinel.
Crazy.
This is a good devolve.
But the Doomhammer actually is
The
incredibly
Doomhammer is
powerful.
pretty nuts, yeah. That's 16 points of damage, you know.
And you
one
have
card.
a way of tempoing out with Vinespell Slayer as
Oh
well.
my.
Oh, pretty sweet minions.
That devolve is so gross in the current metagame.
Against Aggro Druid is actually pretty sweet as well. Oh, you buffed your minions. Oh, fantastic. You put your mana crystals in minions. Even better. Although I like more Vanish.
Vanishing
Against
living
living
mana
mana?
is insane, yeah. It's always a feel-good moment.
One Spirit Echo's already used. Milestone Portal will... Oh, but oh, one.
Ooh,
Look at that.
look at the synergy.
Man, those games are crazy.
Happy little wolves. It's not too bad. You get to push a bunch of extra damage.
Huh? But we need to kill the minion.
Right.
And I believe the... No, wait, the one should be able to attack. Yeah. Okay. What's crazy...
I like playing this thing from below. He's thinking about maybe saving the thing from below to combine with a Spirit Echo in the future because he's feeling like he could get out-resourced by the remaining cards from RDU, so he's
And-
slowing down.
And I would like to actually see that, because...
He's playing around Shaman cards right now. He's playing around Shaman AoE, I think.
Well, there are 3 cards from Shaman.
There are 3
so
Shaman cards. There could be,
2 are actually being picked out.
yeah, 2 hand-picked cards. There could be a Volcano or something. So he's holding back a little bit.
So this then you have to kill the wolf. That's pretty easy to do. You have the dagger to do that. You tell another. So this is another actually minion good for devolve because it's a 5-drop that is overstated.
Yeah, another devolve here would be fantastic for Zalae.
Nope.
Still not a bad card.
All deals with that second questing adventurer.
Puts out a 4/4 as well, which isn't a joke.
Out of my jungle.
Small indie company.
Looking to try and find more things from below, because who doesn't want 0 mana 5/5s? Other than
Is there
that,
anything better?
Earth Elemental is not bad. Yeah, your opponent plays Earth Elemental, you raise them an Earth Elemental. It's never too bad. You have to worry a little bit about Vilespine Slayer, though.
It gives you overload, but it still doesn't matter if you just get Spirit Echo. Oh, White Eye is actually pretty decent as well. Because you have so much mana saved by those things from below. So even if you overload it, you can still deal with the Spirit Echo and the things from below with ease. All
Is
right.
he going to hold on to the thing from below even longer?
Well, now he has an actually decent board to just battle that.
He is really
Almost out of cards.
just holding out on developing these minions here. Super curious. He's playing around the potential AoE cards from RDU, the hand-picked Shaman cards.
So RDU needs to commit to the Sentinel if he wants to have the synergy, but then he's not able to squeeze out the 7 damage to the face.
He has a... Yeah, if he was able to... If he goes Doomhammer this turn, plus Eviscerate, he can really start pushing. He could push 9 damage this turn. That's no joke. 9 damage this turn gets really close to being able to kill Zalae, but he fears healing cards.
Yeah, I like this decision, to be honest. He can be a little bit slower. He knows the volcano was used. Even if there's a volcano, the board is so awkward.
It is a bit awkward, yeah. Zalae can play his entire hand if he wants. I recommend it.
I wonder.
Well, if he commits to the his entire hand and then top deck Spirit's Echo,
Yeah, he'd be very sad, but
but otherwise you can't really win, right?
it is very scary. You could die. As much as you're afraid that those cards could be AoE, they could also be burned.
So 3 taunt minions.
He's really been trying to bait the AoE that's not even there.
And there's
No.
only 1 card left from Shaman's side.
Yeah, there's 1 Shaman card left. So I like it. It's time to commit. He says, you know what, I can't hedge my bets around AoE any longer. I tried to bait it out the best I could. I guess it's probably not AoE at this point because it hasn't happened yet.
There's the Spirit Echo.
There's the Spirit Echo, the very next
my
card. He's like, ah,
God.
come on. He waited as long as he could.
RDU got the green light. He knows that if he kills those minions right now, the deck kind of falls apart.
Yeah, there's not very great top decks. The Jade counter is decent top decks. They spawn 5/5s alongside it, but
So he has access to a pretty... actually, it's pretty easy clear. You go with the Sentinel into one of the 5/5s, you eviscerate, then you can actually...
I like getting the Doomhammer out this turn.
But
I
you want
wanna-
to play Vilespine Slayer,
Exactly.
Slayer as well.
Right alongside that Doomhammer.
But you don't want to take the damage.
Why not? Let's clear the board. The faster we get value out of this Doomhammer, the faster he dies.
I like this more.
Okay.
Like, you got into fatigue.
Right, you are taking some fatigue damage.
I like this way more. And it pushes for damage actually as well.
It's going to be very hard to utilize all 8 charges of this Doomhammer. Or I guess, yeah.
You don't need 8. Because 1 turn of attacking with Doomhammer and that
Oh
eviscerate.
my.
Okay, that's a good.
Well, there's a second Vilespine Slayer, but
But that's Spirit Echo.
there's a Spirit Echo, right? So you get a Spirit Echo it and set it up.
And a Taunt Totem.
That's not too bad either.
Oh, Oh man, RDU is like, no! No in the final match point! Man, that is so, so weird.
Now the Doomhammer can start connecting, though.
And a
But
heal card.
He's not going to have any way to get through the 10-10 once it comes back. This is going to be it. The 10-10 is going to be able to come back down. Zalae gets it returned to his hand. He's going to be able to play it the next turn, sealing the deal.
So 6 damage can be connected to the face. Wait. Can he go for additional
He's only got 1 swing. He can only get him down to 7.
7? And then next turn,
Then he can eviscerate him for 4. That's not 7.
even without the heal, he's not able to set up a lethal.
Well,
2 minions.
technically speaking,
2 minions and go
if
into
there's
the
no
10-10,
heal,
and then Eviscerate finishes up the 10-10.
and then you push face with the Doomhammer, right?
Yeah, and that's your plan to finish up the
That's he has a chance if there's no heal.
game. Man, 1 out of I don't know how many, 12?
So protecting this minion here. He's gonna fight for this board. He might be. It's not over yet.
Okay.
The Vilespine Slayer is understated, so devolve is awful here. Zalae is most likely gonna Storm Guardian, Stoneclaw Totem, heal himself.
What a game. It looked like RDU had it on the tip of his at his fingertips. And it just slipped away because of the White Eyes.
The White Eyes was very strong, yeah.
Storm Guardian appeared like out of less than 10% chance to be drawn. With the Spirit Echo. Well, this is awkward. RDU has a chance to deal with the Storm Guardian, but takes 3 damage in the process because of the card draw that he gets from the Auctioneer.
But he needs to play the Auctioneer to combo it, and he also needs the body of the Auctioneer on the field. So,
Exactly.
Gadget Eviscerate, and then he can trade away 2 minions into it, use his Doomhammer in his face to push 5 towards the face. He's just going to concede, though.
Oh, that's interesting.
He had a chance.
A slim chance.
He
a
takes
very
3
slim
and
chance,
then
but
4 and then...
Okay, let's hype it up.
Yeah, I guess...
Zalae takes it. NA better than you.
NA better than EU. This tournament started with 32 players going through a grueling round-robin stage tournament. 2 NA players, many EU players, some Chinese players, and then they came here to the LAN final. We had 8 in the LAN final. We battled it out down to these 2, and Zalae has taken it over RDU.
I guess Richard will come to interview both of them. Oh, some pictures come.
Picture
the
time.
memory.
Where's the trophy? Pick up the trophy.
It's actually pretty cool trophy. I
It
think
is a
they're
cool
going
one.
here to our room.
Yeah, there's people gathering around. Some celebratory stuff going to be happening.
Is this the?
This is the first major that
Exactly.
Zalae has won. So Zalae's first major victory. He's won an online tournament here and there, but no LAN major titles until now.
Congrats! It's a big achievement. Having to win a tournament that
Don't drop the trophy.
did last for over 2 months. It's a grueling tournament. It's even bigger of an achievement when you think about it. How many games was?
Oh yeah, tons of games. There was 7 rounds in the round robin, and he didn't win the round robin phase. He came in 4th in the round robin phase, so he had to go through the last chance qualifier, which was another tournament, to then get here and now win it all. But we are going to toss it over to Richard and see what they have to say.
I am on the floor right now with the champion, Zalae. Congratulations. Now, there's got to be a lot swirling through your head right now, but in that series, what would you say was one of the most important moments for you to actually pull ahead and grab this victory?
Well, I suppose in the last game there, when I got to use Volcano to clear 2 Arcane Giants and a Gadgets and Auctioneer, that was pretty crucial for me.
Yeah, now the other thing, too, is how important is this win for your entire career so far? This is a pretty big one.
Yeah, it's a nice one. This is my biggest win to date. So yeah, feels great, man. Finally won like a big important LAN, and StarLadder of all of them. It's a great one. There's so many good players in this tournament, so it's awesome.
Yeah, man, and not only are you getting that trophy, there's also $11,000 in cash prizes, but with all of that, you've already earned that. What's next for you?
Probably go home and play some open cups.
All right, well, stay tuned. Keep your eye on Zalae. Oh, yeah, you get all the shout-outs in the world.
Yeah, I'd like to thank some people for helping me. First of all, Ike put in the most hours. Great guy, really smart. So thanks a lot, Ike. And then there were a bunch of other people, my teammate Muzzy and Luminosity as a whole. Firebat helped, Amnesiac, just saying, all those guys chipped in. And I'd like to thank the StarLadder team as a whole, in particular Vlad, run a great tournament. Vlad's always a pleasure to work with, so thanks to all of you, and in particular, thanks to the Luminosity organization for helping to allow me play, Hearthstone for a career.
Congratulations, man. I'm so happy for you. Now we're going to throw it back to the booth to close out the show.
All right. Oh, that was a fantastic weekend with a Friday on top. We had 8 players coming to Kiev. Zalae takes it, RDU second place, and that concludes our journey for a very long time that we had here.
Yep, that was our little journey to Angaru. See you guys later. Thanks everybody for tuning in.